Pirates Fire Dragon Roar Chapter 1-20. Chapter 1. This is also natural. The sea here is not the peaceful place of the four seas. This is the New World, the second half of the Great Route, the graveyard of the pirates, and this is the sea area where the four emperors dominate. A boat was floating at sea, bruised and rickety. Two men are facing each other. An extremely tall man held a trident in his hand, and the other hand seemed to melt, showing a strange state. A scarf wrapped around the man's shoulders, covering the bottom half of his face. The man looked at the wounded opponent in front of him and said coldly, "I never thought that your strength would reach such a level. No wonder Snug was defeated by you." The man opposite him was much shorter than him, but it was about 2 meters tall. Although it was indeed a lot shorter compared to those monsters, it was still taller among ordinary people. The man looked like he was only about 20 years old. His short, bright black hair stood upside down. He had a rebellious smile on his handsome face. The strong enemy he defeated, he still smiled fearlessly. "There are so many things you don't know." The man showed his neat 8 teeth. "Your observation hockey has indeed reached a terrifying state, but after all, he is not an omniscient god." "Ha!" The tall man chuckled disdainfully. "Your mouth is still as good as ever." "Why, Vlad?" the man asked. Why? The relatively short man Vlad wondered. Why do you have such strength but refuse to show it? With your strength, some are not 4 stars but 5 stars. Also, why did you betray your mother?" The tall man listened. In his voice there was an indescribable anger. "Why, ha!" There was an incredible feeling in Vlad's voice. Why ask such a simple question? "Brother Katakuri." Tall man, one of the 4 emperors, the second son of Big Mom Charlotte Linlin, the head of the 4 desert generals, the famous horror powerhouse in the New World, the pillar of the Big Mom pirate group, Charlotte Katakuri, was a gloomy color on his face. Observation hockey, who had cultivated to a very terrifying realm, allowed him to foresee the future. Although it could only be a short moment, it was extremely terrifying. He had already foreseen Vlad's reason. That was the answer that made him extremely angry. "Why?" Vlad had a wild smile on his face. Of course, because I don't want to bear the name Charlotte." Vlad. Katakuri's eyes were extremely angry. For him, Charlotte's name would never tolerate insults, even if this person was his own brother. "Ahaha, Brother Katakuri, you won't understand who has been following that crazy woman." Vlad stood upright, with a strange look in his eyes. "This sea is incomparably vast, and this sea is incomparably free. I, Vlad, are also free. Only freedom is the only way that no one can be imprisoned. Yes. I don't want to be attached to the 4 emperor pirates, Brother Katakuri," Vlad smiled. "I want to be the king. I want to be the One Piece King of Pirates." "Vlad," Katakuri said coldly, "I don't care what your ambitions are, but you better show some respect to your mother." "Mom." Vlad had a mocking smile on his face. Katakuri's face changed slightly. He had foreseen what Vlad would say next. "I didn't have any mother when I saw my father being eaten by that mad woman." Vlad's voice was filled with bitter hatred. Vlad, seeing his angry brother, Katakuri was speechless. "Admit it, Brother Katakuri, that's a mad woman." Vlad laughed wildly. "How many brothers and sisters died at her hands?" Katakuri was speechless. As we all know, Charlotte Linlin, the aunt of the 4 emperors, is an extremely dangerous character. She is a monster who can conquer a country just for dessert. This is also true internally. She died at her hands. Children are not in the minority. Huh. Katakuri breathed a sigh of relief and said solemnly, "Let's stop talking nonsense. Vlad, what about Miss Brona?" Huh. Vlad had a malicious smile on his face. "You ask me about that disgusting woman. I don't know." Katakuri's eyes widened, clearly furious. "I don't know where the drift has gone," Vlad said easily. "You killed her," Katakuri said solemnly. "Of course." Vlad spread his hands. "Please, don't look at what she is, a perverted human body collector who dares to covet my prosperous beauty." Vlad. You should know that your marriage with Miss Brona is a big event for our nations. Katakuri's voice was cold. Of course I do. Vlad also looked helpless. I don't want to, but I plan to leave after 3 years. After all, now, it's still a little early. Vlad said with a deep meaning. It's really disgusting that woman, not to mention being ugly, and showing off her collection in front of me, almost it didn't make me sick to death. If that's the case, then, Vlad, go back with me and let Mom decide your life or death. Katakuri raised the trident. Oops. Vlad looked at the hull that turned into glutinous rice dumplings with a headache, awakening, it's really hard to deal with. Vlad, you should understand. Katakuri raised his hand gently, and the glutinous rice dumplings all around began to move. With your strength, it is impossible to beat me. I understand. Vlad nodded. Of course I understand. Brother Katakuri, your strength is only below that mad woman in the Charlotte family. I'm still a long way from you. Now that you know, let's go and capture it. Katakuri said. Suddenly, his face changed, and he had foreseen what Vlad would say next. But I refuse. Vlad stretched out his right hand and shook his index finger slightly. One of my favorite things Vlad does is say, no. To self-righteous guys. Vlad. The trident in Katakuri's hand couldn't bear it any longer, and stabbed Vlad fiercely. It's long overdue. Vlad was short, dodged Katakuri's stab, his right hand clenched tightly, the black armament hockey had covered it, and the purple luster flashed on it. Dragon Fist. Vlad punched Katakuri hard in the chest. Humph. Observation hockey of Katakuri had already foreseen Vlad's counterattack, but he had no intention of evading it. Vlad's powerful punch directly hit Katakuri's chest. A strange scene appeared. Katakuri's body was like air, and Vlad's fist went straight through it. Damn. Vlad gritted his teeth. Humph. Katakuri didn't miss this opportunity, wrapped around armament with his long, slender and powerful legs, and kicked Vlad's stomach hard. Yuck. Bound to the glutinous rice wall by Katakuri. Ask for the last time, Vlad, do you want to die here, or go back with me to my mother's trial? Katakuri asked with the trident pressed against Vlad's neck. Ahaha, brother Katakuri, do you want me to answer once you know the answer? Vlad, who was in a desperate situation, laughed and said, what else is there to choose? I have already said that I am free, and nothing can bind me, not even death. Not to mention that crazy woman. Quote. Katakuri was silent for a long time, then withdrew the trident, and the sticky rice wall returned to its original appearance. Katakuri turned his back, and after a long time he said loudly, go away. Ferdinando Vlad. Go away. Go to the sea. Ferdinando was Vlad's father's original surname. Chapter 2. The rest of the desert island. This is a deserted island. There are countless deserted islands like this in the New World. Many deserted islands will not be recorded on the chart at all, and even the recording pointer will not point to them. The island is invisible. This small island is such a deserted island. This is a spring island. The island is full of tall, dense forests and weeds. It seems that no one has been here for a long, long time. On the beach on the side of the island, a man lay quietly on it, his eyes closed, and the sea washed his body from time to time. He was wearing a tattered black bodysuit, his muscular body was covered in wounds, and his left arm was twisted at an abnormal angle. The noon sun was very poisonous, and the constant exposure made the man feel a little uncomfortable, and he finally slowly opened his eyes. Charlotte family who had just escaped marriage and killed the bride. Vlad opened his eyes, and what entered his eyes was the blue sky, cloudless, and only seabirds flew over from time to time. This was a beautiful scene. Hey, Vlad said to himself, isn't he dead? Katakuri let him go and went straight away, but unfortunately, the rickety ship suddenly encountered a huge storm, and the monstrous waves broke his hapless ship in an instant. Vlad, who was seriously injured in the first place, didn't even have the strength to resist. You must know that the storm in the New World is no joke. The Golden Lion fleet was so invincible that it could almost wipe out the Roger pirates and completely rewrite it. The history of pirates. However, it was a sudden terrifying storm that not only ruined Golden Lion's fleet, but also ruined his hegemony. Vlad only had time to hug a boat board and tied himself firmly to it, and he lost consciousness amid the endless waves. He really didn't think he could be saved. PFF'd. Ah. Vlad stretched out, lying on the beach, laughing loudly, and he didn't mean to stand up. God will never kill me, Vlad thought. With the comfortable feeling of the sea wash, Vlad's thoughts drifted farther and farther. It has been 20 years since I came to this world. Yes, Vlad is of course a glorious traveler. In his previous life, he was a hard-working street writer. His hobby was watching One Piece, King of Pirates world. In fact, at the beginning, Vlad was very fortunate to be born in the Big Mom pirate group. After all, Big Mom is not a small role, and the strongest woman in the world deserves it. One of the 4 emperors who reign in the New World is not a joke, yes, with the strongest strength and the strongest forces, even if the Marine headquarters wants to move the Big Mom pirate group, it may not be easy. Originally, Vlad thought that he might have spent his whole life in the anti-group. Perhaps, as Katakuri said, he could become a desert star and dedicate his life to the Charlotte family like his brothers and sisters. However, things are often unsatisfactory. A sudden change broke Vlad's plan, and Charlotte Linlin's neurosis-like eczema attacked and ruined everything for Vlad. Can't forget, how can I forget? That huge figure, that bloody mouth dripping with saliva, those blood-red eyes like hungry ghosts. How can you forget it? That look like looking at food. How can you forget? The man pushed his hands away, how could he forget? His tall back is like holding up the sky, how can he forget it? The smile that the man turned back at the end can't be forgotten, can't forget his last sentence, live well. I'm really sorry, I've never called him father. I'm really sorry, I've been reluctant to have more contact with him, because I really can't forget my parents in my previous life. I'm really sorry. It wasn't until he was gone that he discovered his loneliness among a group of pirates and his love for himself. Hi. Vlad clapped his right hand on his forehead and sat up. Why are you still sentimental? Vlad looked into the distance. The deep sea was as endless as ever, only the waves were surging from time to time, and there was no ship passing by. Charlotte Linlin. Wait, it won't be long. Vlad said to himself, I'll be back soon, I'll go and pull you off the throne. Ah. Vlad burst into laughter from the beach. Cuckoo. A discordant voice sounded. Hi. Vlad stood up. Sure enough, you should find something to eat first, and then talk about it after you're full. Vlad looked at the dense and deep forest, and then at the surging sea. After thinking for a while, he finally made up his mind. It's decided, let's eat fish. Vlad turned to face the vast sea. Ah. Vlad laughed wildly and plunged into the sea, then lost his movement. After a long time, Vlad was not seen to rise to the surface, and one could not help but worry that he might have said goodbye to this beautiful world. The waves were still splashing on the sea, and there was no change at all. Vlad didn't know where he went. After a long time, the surface of the sea suddenly changed, and a black shadow appeared under the sea surface near the sea, getting bigger and bigger, and it seemed that something huge was floating up. Soon, the shadow was close to the sea, and the thing finally emerged from the water. Boom! The huge octopus suddenly flew into the sky from the sea, setting off a huge wave. It was a huge sea beast, really like an octopus, with a slender body, brown scales all over its body, and daunting sharp teeth. For ordinary people, it was almost an unmatched terrifying killer. Is such that. Now a huge depression was printed on its face, almost shattering its entire head, and the sea beast was already dead. PFF'd. A small splash appeared, and Vlad rushed out of the sea, laughing wildly. I thought I was wrong, but it turned out to be true. The sea beast flew for a while and fell heavily. Vlad did not dodge or evade, and easily let the huge sea beast hit him directly. Very easily, Vlad easily carried the huge falling force of the sea beast, and he carried his prey to the beach step by step. I didn't expect to see the offshore emperor here. Vlad was amazed. This is a terrifying existence that can abolish the arm of the 4 emperors. It's not worth my chasing for so long. Woo ha ha ha. You can kill an offshore emperor as soon as you go out to sea. This is Luffy's treatment. I am indeed the chosen one. Vlad threw the hairtail on the beach and laughed. Soon, a huge bonfire rose on the beach, took off one of the 4 emperors' arms, and ate the same kind of terrifying offshore emperor as the Bandit King, and entered Vlad's stomach like this. 3rd chapter Fruit. The sea breeze in the early morning is a little humid, with the smell of salty seawater. Vlad was lying on the beach, his whole body was in a large font, and he slept peacefully. Hey! Vlad sat up, his eyes looking around a little absently. After a long time, Vlad, who finally recovered from the low blood sugar state, stood up, stretched greatly, and slowly spit out a mouthful of exhaust gas. Ooh ha ha. Vlad looked at the vast sea. Today is also a good day. Vlad shook his left hand. It was abnormally twisted yesterday. The swollen old gal's left hand has recovered a lot today. Although it still doesn't work much, it may be almost healed in a few days. The constitution of the people in the world of One Piece, King of Pirates, is so domineering and unreasonable. Compared with the people of Vlad's previous life, they are nothing short of heaven and earth. People in the world of One Piece, King of Pirates, can reach the point of knocking down a mountain with one punch. For details, please refer to the marine hero, Garp the Fist, who once knocked down 8 mountains to practice boxing. Conceivable that the bodies of the people in the world of One Piece, King of Pirates, have reached what level, especially the strong ones, who are like monsters one by one. Zoro was slashed by Hawkeye, and without a ship doctor. Case, healed quickly. Vlad was much stronger than Zoro at the time, and recovered faster as well. At this point, apart from the upper left hand, Vlad's other minor injuries were basically no problem. Vlad clenched his fist with his left hand and said to himself, as expected of the 4 desert stars. Vlad recalled the previous battle, and originally thought that Charlotte Snag was just the weakest of the 4 generals. Although he couldn't fight, it should be quite easy to win. Unexpectedly, the other party quickly told Vlad with his powerful strength, what is the powerful strength of the New World for decades. Although he was defeated, he also left Vlad with heavy injuries, such as the injury to his left hand. Katakuri, who was chasing after him, was even more terrifying and outrageous. Even though Vlad was seriously injured at that time, his condition was not good, and his resistance was not strong. He could still clearly feel the strength of that man, even if he was himself. It is in perfect condition, and it is completely invincible. It is indeed the highest masterpiece of the Charlotte family, the first of the 4 generals. Guys like this are already strong to such a degree, so what kind of strength will those 4 emperors themselves, Marine Admiral, Hero Garp, and even the young Whitebeard be strong? Vlad was excited, and finally came to this fantastic world. If he couldn't fight these monsters well, wouldn't it be too boring? Vlad thinks so. Well, the body has recovered a lot. Vlad said to himself, looking at the deep and dense forest, let's go to the forest and have something. Vlad has read a lot of One Piece, King of Pirates fanfiction in his previous life. The protagonist in the book lives on a desert island. 100% will find some kind of devil fruit on the desert island. What time fruit? Space fruit? Dick no. He also wanted to try his luck. The forest is really dense, not to mention the road, and even the view is blocked by tall grass. I don't know how such a tall grass can exist in an area covered by tall trees. It's really annoying. People are puzzling. But considering that this is a new world, there are too many strange islands, and Vlad didn't care much. Well. Vlad suddenly turned his head to one side. Boom. 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 Heavy footsteps came through from that side, and something huge was running towards this side. Interesting. Vlad grinned Isho. Roar. The huge roar shocked the sky, and before the main body arrived, the terrifying roar had already passed over. Boom! The trees along the way were toppled one by one, and a huge creature finally appeared in front of Vlad. This is a bear, a huge bear, even bigger than the sea beast that Vlad had eaten before. The big bear standing up from people is estimated to be as high as 6 or 7 floors. The blood-red eyes of the big bear covered in blue hair stared at Vlad motionless, and the saliva was secreting from the mouth full of fangs. "Who-oh, do you want to eat me?" Vlad laughed. Roar! The giant bear let out a loud roar, like a giant palm of a hill slapped fiercely towards Vlad. Boom! The huge bear paw shot a huge bear paw print directly on the ground, but Vlad was not among them. "Just so, I want to eat you too." This sentence is so close at hand, the giant bear has no time to turn around, the man has already stood on its tall shoulders. Dragon fist, dragon claw. The muscles of Vlad's right arm bulged high, like a taut bowstring, containing terrifying power. Bang! Vlad slammed a heavy punch on the giant bear's face, making a dull sound, and then blood splattered. The shoulders were empty. Oh la la! Vlad landed gently on the ground, a little scared. I was almost splattered with blood. Boom! The giant bear's tall body fell to the ground with a bang, prostrate in front of Vlad. Vlad licked his lips involuntarily, knowing that he could have another big meal today. Wait, if I read it right. Vlad jumped onto the canopy of a tree, with a pergola in his right hand, and looked far into the distance. Sure enough, there is indeed an open space there. Was a smile on Vlad's mouth. It's too strange no matter how you look at it. Why is the whole island full of woods, just there is an open space? Vlad's feet ejected the whole person with force, and hurried towards the open space. The island is not big, and Vlad quickly reached the edge of the clearing. Whoa! Vlad was taken aback. The temperature here is much higher than other places. This island is clearly a spring island, but the temperature here is far higher than the average summer island, which is very strange. This open space is red, and at a glance, you know that it is not a simple place. But who is Vlad? That's a bold and talented person. How could he be afraid of such a strange sight? Vlad walked into the open space, and an astonishing heat wave hit his face. It was not the temperature of the natural air at all. The temperature of the ground under his feet was even more frightening. Vlad felt that he was standing on the coals. It was really cool. Hot. Humph! Vlad groaned, a black light flashed, and a layer of black was attached to his whole body. He turned on the armament of the whole body. Although this exaggerated shape was far less effective than concentrated strength when fighting the enemy, but this situation is still very useful now. I'm going to see what's weird here. Vlad was determined to find out. So he saw a fruit, a banana-like fruit with a strange spiral pattern wrapped around the golden flame. Chapter 4 Dragon Fruit. Vlad was in a daze, staring at the strange fruit. The golden color, and the entangled flames had disappeared after picking it off. Vlad was sitting on the beach next to a bonfire and a vaguely recognizable bone from a giant bear. The fruit was placed in front of Vlad. Vlad looked straight at the fruit and was very confused. There is no doubt that this is a devil fruit, which can be seen from the spiral patterns on it. Vlad was just to see if he could find a devil fruit, but he did not expect that he actually found it. Sure enough, I'm the chosen one. Vlad thought at the time. It stands to reason that it should be a very happy thing to be able to find a devil fruit. A devil fruit can greatly strengthen the user's power, which is beyond doubt, as long as you don't encounter eggs like quiet fruit. The fruit used, the usual devil fruit, can greatly strengthen the eater. As the saying goes, there is no strongest fruit, only the strongest person. However, the strongest person who gets the strongest fruit is the strongest. Vlad already has his favorite devil fruit, otherwise he would get mixed up in the Big Mom group. After so many years, I still agree with a devil fruit, but Vlad is not tempted. Because he was looking forward to the appearance of another fruit. It was 3 years later, in the year Luffy went to sea, he was disdainful of the ordinary devil fruit Vlad, and he longed for stronger power. But now, Vlad is shaken, this fruit does not look ordinary. Although the devil fruit has no fixed shape, from the banana-like shape, the probability of being zone is very high. Ordinary zone Vlad is not interested, although he is a fighting technique type person. Getting a zone fruit can greatly strengthen his fighting technique ability. The strong recovery ability and endless physical strength after awakening is definitely great, the nightmare of the strong at sea. However, Vlad was not reconciled. If it was just an ordinary zone, why would he compete with those monsters in the future? Devil fruit has weaknesses. Whether it is seawater or sea stone, they are restrained. If there is no powerful fruit, Vlad would rather be a man with pure fighting techniques. However, this fruit is different now. The flame that was entangled on it just now is not an illusion, but a real vision. After picking this fruit, the strange temperature in the hot area also disappeared. All this shows that this fruit is not ordinary. Mythical, Vlad muttered. That's right, Vlad is very sure that this fruit is by no means an ordinary zone fruit, it is most likely a mythical fruit. Zone mythical, devil fruit is one of the rarest treasures than the so-called strongest Logia devil fruit. In the entire One Piece King of Pirates world, mythical fruit has not appeared several times, and there are only 2 in total. One belongs to the Whitebeard pirates, the captain of the first team, and is owned by Marco, the Phoenix. It is called the Phoenix fruit, which gives him almost undead resilience. During the war, Marco used this fruit to block Kizaru's light waves. Unscathed, it was terrifying. The owner of the other is Martial Marine at this time, one of the legends on the sea. Sengoku the Buddha, human fruit Buddha form, can release the ability of terrifying shock waves. One blow suppresses Blackbeard and Blackbeard who have stolen Whitebeard's ability. The entire regiment under his command is not weak. Now, in front of Vlad, it is very likely that the third mythical devil fruit is the third mythical devil fruit. This kind of temptation is not too big. Vlad is very confused. On the one hand, the ideal devil fruit that has not appeared yet, and he does not know the result. On the other hand, the devil fruit that is actually placed in front of him is likely to be a powerful mythical devil fruit. Elected. Hey, what's with the luck? Vlad was suddenly a little tired of his good luck. If there was no such good luck, he would not be so entangled. To eat or not to eat, that is the question. Hey, am I a bit too cheap? Vlad picked up the devil fruit on the ground and said with a smile, I'm afraid this kind of opportunity is what everyone else wants in their dreams, but I'm still hesitating here, it's really a bit of a jerk. Since God sent this fruit to me, it must be eaten by me. I can't live up to God's good intentions. Vlad stood up, held up the fiery red devil fruit, and said with a smile, I'm starting. Yuck. Vlad forced himself to take a few bites, his face turned blue, and he threw the remaining fruit aside, knelt on the ground and retched. Expected by Luffy's evaluation is unpalatable. Is there really anything in the world that is more unpalatable than this thing? No, I am afraid there is no, right. It tasted like a nightmare. Vlad didn't even have the courage to recall it. It was too terrifying. Fortunately, he only had to take a bite. After a long time, the nightmarish smell finally dissipated. Vlad lay on the beach, gasping for breath. The battle with Snag was not as tired as it is now, really. Here it is. Vlad felt his change. He sat up, raised his right hand, and a piece of fire-red scales grew on the back of his hand, which looked very tough. Hey. It seems so. Vlad said to himself, he found a strange power in his body, and he could naturally manipulate this power. Needless to say, this is naturally the power of the devil fruit. With a thought, a strange change suddenly appeared. Vlad's entire right hand, above the elbow joint, was covered with fiery red scales, and the palm of the hand was the same. The fingers became extremely thick, and extremely sharp and hard curved fingernails grew. Oh. Vlad looked at his arms carefully, how handsome. Well, has the strength increased so much? Vlad was a little surprised. After his right arm was transformed into a beast, the power of his right arm had been greatly increased. I am afraid it had already reached twice the previous amount. What kind of terrifying data is this? Zone is indeed the best choice for the strong fighting technique. Vlad couldn't help thinking. Scoff. The golden flame ignited violently, and Vlad's right hand covered with scales ignited a fierce flame. Ooh ha ha. Vlad laughed, this is so interesting. Vlad threw a soft punch, without hockey attached, without much force, just trying to mobilize the power of that flame. A huge pillar of fire roared out, and in the blink of an eye, it slammed into the sea. Boom. In an instant, thousands of waves were aroused, a huge depression was blasted out on the sea surface, a huge amount of water was instantly evaporated, and the water vapor suddenly enveloped the entire sea surface, looking white. Ahaha. Vlad laughed loudly, it's a big profit. Zone, Mythical, Dragon Fruit. Chapter 5 Fire Dragon Vlad. The sky was covered with dark clouds, and it seemed that a heavy rain would fall at any time. The clouds looked very low, and the distant sky on weekdays seemed to be within reach at this time. Suddenly, a streak of golden color appeared in the gloomy clouds, and it was fleeting, like an illusion. However, in the blink of an eye, a golden pillar of fire broke through the clouds, whistling and swept across the endless sea below the clouds, causing thousands of waves, and a huge amount of water vapor spread out, as if the sea suddenly became like a heavy fog. There is indeed something in the clouds. It seems to be moving at a high speed, and the speed is very fast. Even the most keen seabird can only vaguely see a fiery red figure, a very huge and slender figure of fiery red. Roar. A huge roar resounded through the sky, and a terrifying momentum radiated in all directions. It was not an exaggerated description, but a real momentum that actually existed. The seabirds that were originally flying in the sky seemed to have seen some indescribable horror, and instantly lost consciousness. It looked like it was raining, falling one by one. On the sea, large and small sea fish floated up with their stomachs up, floating on the sea, and even huge sea beasts, also lost consciousness, their bodies involuntarily floating on the sea. Take a closer look, there are even a few. It was an amazing sight to see only the astonishing Neptunes mixed in. The cloud layer twisted violently and began to oscillate unstoppably. Immediately, the cloud layer spread out, and a huge void was born under the roar of the creature. At this time, the true face of the mysterious creature was also exposed. How noble! How beautiful! What a stalwart! How powerful! The fiery red scales all over the body wraps the slender and strong body, and a pair of huge wings stretches wildly behind the back, and Vivi can bring a gust of wind between the flaps. The slender and sturdy tail swayed gently to maintain balance, and the sturdy limbs had sharp and curved sharp claws, which seemed to have the terrifying power of tearing gold and cracking rocks. The huge head is at the front end of the long and thick neck, and two sharp and slender curved horns grow on the top of the head, spreading recklessly, with an aura that pierces the sky. There are countless sharp teeth in the huge mouth, golden flames sputtering out from time to time between the thick nostrils and breathing, and the golden eyes are narrow and long pupils, which have their own dignity. This is a dragon, a real fire dragon. Roar. A huge roar resounded through the sky, and a layer of black material instantly wrapped the huge body of the fire dragon. If someone was there at this time, they would definitely be able to easily recognize that it was Armament, hockey. The originally fiery red dragon suddenly became pitch black, and the purple luster flashed on his body, and it suddenly took on a different style, looking extremely hockey. Scoff. A flame emerged from the dragon's wings, and immediately swept the whole body in an unstoppable trend. Every scale of the fire dragon had golden flames surging out. The originally pitch-black dragon was immediately wrapped in a raging flame, hanging in the air like a small sun. The huge dragon's huge wings fluttered, and the huge and slender body suddenly shot out. It is really hard to imagine that such a huge body would have such an amazing speed. Dragon God swoops. The dragon roared loudly. The giant dragon was like a bolt of lightning that fell from the sky, hitting the island directly and ruthlessly. Boom boom boom. The huge sound shook the sky, and the smoke and dust rose up in the sky, covering everything. A strong wind blew violently. The smoke and dust dissipated directly. The dragon's landing site has lost the slightest vitality, and there is only a huge crater left. Obviously, there is no flammable material at all, but the golden flame is indeed burning recklessly in the crater, and the original rock suddenly unable to hold back. The fiery red magma was flowing slowly at the bottom of the big pit. The air was slightly distorted, and intense heat spread out. The giant dragon has disappeared, replaced by a humanoid creature, about 5 meters tall, with muscular muscles and extraordinary kongwu. The whole body is covered with fiery red scales, and the golden sparks jump between his scales from time to time. The structure of the legs is completely different from that of humans. They are anti-joints more like reptiles. Sharp nails are very long. 2 twisted long horns spread from the top of the temples on both sides of the head to the 2 sides, to the top, and to the back. The huge pair of wings are tucked behind him, and the huge palms are more delicate scales and thicker fingers and nails. The shoulders and elbows are sharp and ferocious bone spurs, and the thick tail of the back waist has been stretched out, slapping the ground a few times from time to time, and suddenly cracks spread. Yeah. Humanoids put their hands around their chests, as if thinking, sure enough, don't call it dragon god swooping. It feels so embarrassing. And it seems to be a plagiarized skill name, and may be accused. Sure enough, it's better to call justice from the sky, and hockey is full of the light of justice again. Ah, I'm a little hungry, let's eat something. The humanoid muttered to himself, sitting directly on the ground, not caring at all about the magma flowing under his butt, as if it was not soaking in magma, but in a hot spring. It felt very comfortable. The humanoid took a strong breath, and a huge suction force emerged spontaneously, and suddenly the magma flowing on the ground began to fly upside down towards his mouth. Slimy. Just like drinking porridge, the humanoid creatures swallowed the sparks, the scary magma with high temperature, and the color of enjoyment on their faces. This is really amazing. Ordinary people don't say that they eat it. Even if they are close to these flowing magma, they will feel unbearable. Vivi will be injured when they touch it. Otherwise, why would a kainu make many pirates feel scared? The magma damage is too high. Well, that's the point of longwa, you can make your own food. The humanoid said to himself, don't worry about being hungry, and the lava tastes unexpectedly good. As a result, an extremely amazing scene appeared in this huge pothole. The golden flame was burning continuously on the bare rock, and the molten magma slowly flowed to the bottom of the pit. There was a huge humanoid creature. Very not picky eaters eat the hot lava cleanly. Humanoid is naturally Ferdinando Vlad. At this time, it has been nearly 3 months since he ate the dragon fruit, and he is very familiar with the various abilities that the dragon fruit brings to him. Chapter 6 Dragon and Flame. Maybe many people will say that developing devil fruit is so easy. In just 3 months, can you master the various abilities of the devil fruit? Yes, maybe it is a very difficult thing for an ordinary person to develop devil fruit. Because activating the devil fruit consumes the stamina of the capable person, the stronger the fruit, the stronger the stamina consumed by the more powerful tricks. This is the general rule of all devil fruits. This can be seen from many people. For example, Luo's surgical fruit is a fruit that consumes a lot of physical strength, and it has been fully reflected in the chasing battle with Fujitora and Doflamingo. The development of the so-called devil fruit is nothing but constant use of abilities, skillful use of abilities, and constant development of new tricks on this basis, just like Luffy's gear. In other words, it is difficult for the weak to develop, because the lack of physical strength, the use of abilities, and the power of abilities are very limited, and it is difficult to achieve the level of proficiency. But for a person like Vlad with amazing physical strength and amazing combat power, it is really not that difficult to develop the fruit. Once Blackbeard gets the power of the shock fruit, he can destroy half of the marine with one blow. The headquarters is no weaker than the previous Whitebeard's power. Although the dragon fruit is a very strong fruit, after nearly 3 months of use and practice, Vlad has mastered most of its abilities. Of course, there is still a long way to go before the ability awakening. Awakening is a situation that only occurs when devil fruit abilities are rare. Once awakened, it will be a qualitative leap. The dragon fruit is indeed worthy of the identity of the mythical fruit, and its ability is amazing. Vlad now has no regrets about eating this fruit before, because the power it brings is really strong. The first is dragon transformation. There is nothing to say about this. All zone fruits have the ability to turn users into corresponding creatures. Vlad ate the fruit of the fire dragon, of course, the ability to become a fire dragon. Zone's transformation is divided into 3 categories. One is the humanoid state, that is, the state of not using the ability, that is, the state of ordinary people. The second is called humanoid shape. It is the form that Vlad uses now. While retaining the general appearance of human beings, he uses dragon transformation, which makes Vlad into the form of a dragon man. This form greatly increases Vlad's strength. The body of the dragon gave him great strength and speed, and the scale of the dragon gave him super defensive power. It must have been an all-round reinforcement from before, and it was completely different from before. The third form is the form that Vlad had turned into a giant dragon before, which is called beastization. It is a form that has completely transformed into a beast. In the third form, Vlad, who has the presumably half-dragon form, has stronger strength, stronger defense, and faster speed. However, Vlad is still more willing to use the second form, because as a fighting technique master, Vlad is more accustomed to fighting with people using the fighting technique. Although the third form is powerful, it is too big, and the body of a dragon is different from that of a person, so using the fighting technique will inevitably lead to inconsistencies. This is just the most basic enhancement. As mythical, the dragon fruit is like the restorative flame of the phoenix fruit and the shockwave of the human fruit Buddha form, giving Vlad another power. As a fire dragon, it is naturally the power to manipulate the flame, yes, just like the fruit of burning, the power to manipulate the flame. Unlike Logia's burning fruit, Vlad cannot turn into a flame, and lunch is elementalized, but in addition to this, the power of flame given to Vlad by the dragon fruit is only stronger than that of burning fruit. That golden flame is not an ordinary flame, just like Marco's recovery fire, Vlad's flame also has magical powers. This kind of flame is a pure fire of destruction. It is a flame that can burn all things. It is not a rhetoric. Burns on objects, be it rocks, metals, human bodies, or even fresh water. This kind of flame sounds really powerful. In fact, armament hockey can isolate the burning of this flame. It is difficult to burn someone alive when the other party has a powerful hockey. However, even if this golden flame does not have the ability to burn everything, it is not inferior to burning fruit as an ordinary flame. This is equivalent to Vlad eating a top zone fruit and a Logia burning fruit at the same time. However, it must be said that it is not Vlad who is manipulating the flame, but Vlad who has been transformed into a dragon. A body that is not covered with scales cannot generate fire, let alone manipulation. After all, manipulating flames is a fire dragon ability, not Vlad's own ability. This kind of restriction is really optional, just like Sengoku cannot use the shock wave. It is not a disadvantage at all. After all, the person who can prevent Vlad from transforming, even after transforming, I am afraid that nothing helps. In addition to fire, the dragon fruit also gave Vlad an interesting ability that he had used before. It was the previous roar that directly broke through the clouds, directly killing a group of sea birds, sea fish and sea beasts, and even the ability of sea kings. A lot of judges want to say, isn't this conqueror hockey? However, it is not. This is a setting that exists for dragons in both the East and the West. This is a magical power called Longway. As for Vlad himself, he did not show the potential of Conqueror, which also made him a little sad. But the power called Longway that appears now is not weaker than Conqueror Hockey. It also has a violent mental impact on other creatures. Once it can't survive, the coma is small. In serious cases, it can even affect the brain. This skill is also a product of dragon transformation. Ah, so full. Vlad stood up, stretched out for a long time, his mind moved, and the golden-yellow flame that was burning was instantly extinguished. Only the terrifying temperature around and the remaining magma at the bottom of the pit could see the power of the previous flame. The wings on Vlad's back are spread out, and there are many barbs on the broad wings, which looks very handsome. With a flutter of his wings, Vlad soared into the sky and flew high into the sky. Well, it's almost time to leave. Looking at the endless sea, Vlad muttered to himself. Chapter 7 Hacksaw Pirates. On the endless sea, a lonely pirate ship slowly cut through the water waves, and sailed towards the distant distance under the blow of the wind. A black flag hangs on the top of the mast, and a skull with blood dripping from the corner of the mouth is placed on the flag. Behind the skull are two long strips that look like saws, which looks a little VV's joy. There is no doubt that this ship is a pirate ship. This is not a strange thing. After all, this is a new world, and pirate ships are really normal. Here, pirates are like carps crossing the river. A large number of juveniles who are over their own strength poured into this cemetery to challenge the status of the four emperors. This pirate group is such a pirate group, which has just come to this more magnificent and powerful new world from the first half of the great route called Paradise. This ship is not small. There are about 100 people on it, and it does not seem crowded at all. The pirate group of this size is still normal. In fact, a pirate group like the Straw Hat is abnormal. There are only 10 people in total. For a giant like the Four Emperors, it is too small, so Luffy's purpose is to become the freest person on the sea, does not want to be a big pirate like the Four Emperors. There is a banquet on the ship, and the atmosphere is harmonious. A tall man held a huge wine glass in his hand and laughed recklessly, ha 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 ha. The new world is not as scary as the rumors say. Just before, the pirate group led by this man had just defeated another pirate group and plundered everything from the other party, and now is the time to celebrate. That's right, when I didn't enter the new world before, I always heard those people say how terrifying the new world is, how terrifying, how powerful the four emperors are, and how powerful the pirates of the new century are. Quote. A pirate held a piece of bone and flesh in his hand and poured a wine glass into his mouth in the other, while shouting loudly. Ha 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 ha. That's right, ah ha ha ha. It's just that those people are timid. We are different, okay. Many pirates laughed and were very optimistic about their future. After all, they have not encountered any setbacks since they entered the Great Route. For the Supernova Pirate Group, the strength is not bad. The captain's bounty has risen again. A pirate shouted loudly. Yes, a full 280 million Bailey, worthy of being the captain. Someone exclaimed. 280 million, the level of this bounty is considered outstanding in the New World. Said a pirate. That's right, that's not 28 million, that's 280 million. Are you a real big pirate? Someone echoed. The big man, the captain of this pirate ship, waved his hand and said modestly, the new world is like a cloud of powerhouses. Although I can be considered strong, there are still many shortcomings. Captain is humble. Someone laughed wildly. Yes, even if the new world is strong, how strong can it be? Someone said. That's right, aren't we the same kind of domineering in paradise? Only those Shichibukai can say that they are stronger than us. How many Shichibukai can be compared to the New World? That's right, Shichibukai is one of the three major forces, and it is a powerful fighting force that is on par with the Marine Headquarters and the Four Emperors. As soon as this statement came out, there was a burst of echoes. Yeah, we are a pirate group that escaped from Jinbei, one of the kings of Shichibukai. I'm afraid there aren't many people in the New World that can defeat us, right? What is escaping? We forced Jinbei back, okay. It was the captain who made Jinbei dare not pursue him with his strength. Some people were dissatisfied with their companions' remarks. Yes, we forced Shichibukai back. Does that mean we already have Shichibukai level combat power? Someone suddenly asked. Quote. There was a moment of silence, followed by an uproar. Of course. Shichibukai is nothing but an empty name, compared to the captain. That's right, Shichibukai is like that. We're not afraid at all. Our goal is only the 4 emperors. Cough cough cough. Someone coughed. What's wrong? Ha ha ha, it's nothing, I laughed. The man replied. Really, you also think that the 4 emperors are nothing more than that, right? Woo ha ha ha, that's right, what are the 4 emperors? They're just 4 cowards who don't dare to go any further. The man laughed. Ha ha ha, that's right, the 4 emperors are nothing special. Sooner or later, our hacksaw pirates will lift them off the throne. The pirates were arrogant and ambitious. Woo ha ha ha, that's right, sooner or later, I will knock them off the throne. After all, it's already a new era. Those old guys should have left the stage long ago. Woo ha 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 ha. Looking at this black-haired Kurome, handsome and extraordinary, holding a roast chicken in one hand and a bottle of wine in the other, eating and drinking and laughing, the pirate suddenly felt a little strange. Who are you? I think you're a little strange. Me, the young man said. My name is Vlad, I'm a newcomer. Rookie. Pirate readily accepted this reason. Oh, it turns out to be a newcomer, then it's no problem. I said that you are a little strange, it turns out to be a newcomer. Ah ha ha ha. Vlad raised the bottle in his hand and laughed loudly. Everyone toast for the captain's hegemony. As soon as the words are spoken, the whole house applauds. Cheers. Oh. Long live the captain. The hacksaw pirates are the strongest. The strongest. The atmosphere was very harmonious for a while. Vlad was in the crowd, but no one recognized that he was not from this ship. It was enough. How did such a pirate group pass through the paradise? It is said that he also escaped from Jinbei's men. Although Jinbei is a fish, his combat power on land should be discounted, but he is also a real Shichibukai. It is enough that this kind of thing can escape under his men. Captain, when did you become the 4th emperor? Vlad suddenly shouted. After a brief silence, the crowd surged. Yes, Captain, since we are already a Shichibukai-class pirate group, I am afraid that in this new world, only the 4 emperors can challenge us. You pirates said. Yeah, it's already possible. We can completely charge towards the seat of the 4th emperor. That's right, the 4 emperors are nothing but a force alongside Shichibukai, we're totally true. Silence. Captain Dayan said, and the deck suddenly became quiet. It's still a little early. Mobile users, please visit Reading for a better reading experience. Chapter 8 Hacksaw Man. The big man's name is Iben. He is the captain of this ship and the leader of this pirate group. He offers a bounty of 280 million big pirates. Paramesha, who has the ability to saw fruit, has the ability to turn himself into a hacksaw. X23 US. Com updates fastest. Iben was a little complacent during this time. After all, he has come to the new world known as the Pirate Cemetery. In this sea area are the most feared monsters in the sea, the real big pirates. It is difficult for even the marine headquarters to spread their influence to this sea area. This is the sea area of pirates, this is the paradise of the strong, and this is the hell of the weak. Iben understands this very well. He understands that the world of pirates is a world of the strong prey on the weak. The weak have no right to speak, and only the winner has the full power to speak. Iben thinks he is a strong man. This is not groundless. After all, he is a man who rushed directly into the new world from the 4 seas. With the power of the hacksaw fruit, he has only encountered the sea hero Jinbei so far. A strong man who can fight against himself. Although he didn't win against Jinbei, in fact, Iben said that Shichibukai is nothing more than that, and he is not much stronger than himself. Although the power called Haki used by Jinbei is indeed a bit powerful, his hacksaw fruit is not weak at all. Eben is confident in himself. Captain, are we all in the new world? Yes, Captain, the position of the 4 emperors is at hand. That's right, the brothers are all ready, we are all ready to defeat the 4 emperors for you, how can you give up at this time? Someone was very puzzled. Yes, Captain. Captain. Everyone calm down, Ben said. How can you be calm? Captain, are you afraid? Someone questioned. Quiet, quote. Ben shouted loudly, and the perennial Jiwei instantly carried the audience. Everyone fell silent, wanting to hear what his captain had to say. Little ones, the 4 emperors, we must fight. Eben looked around with a serious expression on his face, there's no doubt about that. But, someone had a problem. Listen to me, Ben's eyes widened, and the man retracted his head. But now is not the time. Our strength is indeed very strong, but those 4 emperors are not weak either. Ben said solemnly, although our advanced combat power is not much different from that of the 4 emperors, the difference in basic combat power is too great. Our hacksaw pirates have a total of only 132 members, which looks like a lot, but it's still too different from those of the 4 emperor pirates. I heard that Whitebeard has more than 40 pirate groups under his command, and Big Mom is the queen of a country. Their forces are too strong. Even if we can deal with their cadres, we are completely unable to deal with these forces. Quote. So. Ben had a confident smile on his face. We must at least recruit some troops before we start the war with the 4 emperors, otherwise it will be a real loss. Yes. The captain is worthy of being a captain, he thinks about the long term. Of course, otherwise the captain can be the captain, and we can only be the crew. Ha 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 ha, long live the captain. Ha 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 ha, little ones. Benji laughed proudly. Wait, it's fast, when we have enough troops, we will fight the 4 emperors. Target, let's choose Whitebeard tentatively. It's time to replace the strongest name in the world. Ben roared. Oh. Down with Whitebeard. Long live the captain. Woo ha 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 ha. Okay, little ones, let's continue the banquet. Ben laughed. Woo ha 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 ha. Okay, stop laughing. Ben frowned. Ah ha ha ha. The laughing man looked really happy, laughing endlessly. I said okay, stop laughing. Ben was a little upset. Many pirates turned their heads, and the man who was slumped on the chair, covering his stomach and laughing non-stop, suddenly caught their eyes. Ah ha ha ha, I'm sorry. Vlad laughed breathlessly. It's so funny, I can't help myself. Ben's face was gloomy. You mean, am I funny? No, Vlad waved again and again. Ben's face softened a little. Vlad stretched out his right hand and gave a thumbs up. His laughter continued. How can it be funny? It's very funny. Thank you. I haven't laughed so happily for a long time. Who is this kid? Ben's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. This. Do you know him? I don't know. The pirates looked at each other, not knowing who this daring man was. I know. The pirate who chatted with Vlad before popped up. His name is Vlad, and he's a newcomer. Clap. Immediately someone slapped him on the head. We haven't recruited anyone for a long time, where are the new recruits? What? The man looked confused. Boy, who are you? Ben asked with a gloomy face. Me. Vlad sat up and finally stopped laughing wildly. My name is Vlad, I'm a hitchhiker. Hitchhiking. Ben stood up, and under the sunlight, his tall body formed a large shadow that directly enveloped Vlad. I don't remember we ever had such a business. Vlad leaned back in the chair lazily, with a lazy smile on his face. What does it matter, there will always be a first time, and I am this first time. Boy, Ben looked grim. You are courting death. The captain is angry. It's over, that kid is dead. I really can't think of what's going to happen to him other than being cut into pieces. I can see the captain's abilities again. Paramesha, the fruit-sawing ability, the ability to turn the body into a hacksaw is extremely powerful. Oh, Vlad raised his eyebrows. Are you still an ability? Boy, it's too late for you to apologize now, because... Ben stretched out 2 big hands, with a hideous smile on the corner of his mouth, because you made Lao Su angry. Ben's palms formed a knife, and rows of sharp steel thorns emerged from his elbows, spreading all the way to the middle, and the two hands looked like two saws. "I'm going to cut you to pieces." Ben snarled. "Ohm." A low and sharp voice sounded, and the sawtooth on Ben's hand began to move back and forth crazily. The movement trajectory of the sawtooth could not be seen at all with the naked eye, only that the sawtooth had disappeared. "Oh." Vlad became interested. "This is a chainsaw." Chapter 9: The Vastness of the World. "Chainsaw? What?" Ben twisted his neck and made a creaking sound. "My move is called absolute cutting." "Absolute cut. PFF tilde woo ha 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 ha." Vlad leaned back in his chair and couldn't help laughing. What a great name. Absolutely cut. Humph. Although Ben is short-sighted and arrogant, it does not mean that he is a fool. Of course he can hear the mockery overflowing in Vlad's tone. "If you want to be arrogant, take advantage of it now." Ben was not angry, and it was really unnecessary to be angry with someone who was about to die. "I'll cut you into a human stick. Don't worry, I'm absolutely sharp. I'm sure you'll be alive after cutting." Ben's tone was very cold. "Oh." Vlad leaned back on the chair and hooked his right index finger. "Then let's try it." Arrogant. Ben strode forward at an extremely fast speed. Although he was a little over his own strength, he was actually not worthy of his 280 million reward. "Die." Ben's face had a hideous smile, and the air was buzzing and vibrating, and the arm like a chainsaw had already slashed towards Vlad, who seemed to be defenseless. "Huh." Vlad chuckled lightly, without any intention of dodging, and watched Ben's chainsaw slash towards his arm. "Is that kid scared and stupid? Not moving?" Of course, the captain is a man who can be on an equal footing with Shichibukai. I'm afraid that boy's mind is already empty in the face of the captain's blow. He must be very regretful now, regretting that he shouldn't have offended the captain. Unfortunately, regret is useless. The captain will not forgive him. It's dead. This kid is dead. Not only is he dead, but he will die miserably. The pirates around were talking a lot, with cruel smiles on their faces, and they couldn't wait to see Vlad's tragic end. As a pirate group that can break into the New World, they are not lacking in cruelty and blood. Z. A sharp sound rang out, and sparks flew everywhere. What? Ben was shocked, and what happened now was completely beyond his expectations. Vlad's exposed shoulders were somehow covered with a black substance, which from Evan's point of view was no big deal. But it is this thing that doesn't seem to be great, but it completely blocks his invincible absolute cutting. Although the sparks are scattered, Ben can clearly feel that his saw teeth have not invaded in the slightest, and are directly affected by that layer of black material blocks out. Hockey. Ben remembered that Jinbei, the sea hero, seemed to have used such a trick before. At that time, he didn't care, but he didn't expect this trick called hockey to be so powerful in defense. Ha! Ben roared, and his other hand cut fiercely towards Vlad's neck. He has completely given up the idea of cutting Vlad into a human stick. Ha! Vlad shook his head amusingly. Haven't you recognized the gap yet? Really interesting. Z. Damn. Ben cursed incessantly. Just like the previous version, Ben's chainsaw did not help Vlad at all, and the thin layer of armament hockey became Ben's insurmountable moat. Alas. Is that all? Vlad also spoke in a leisurely manner. No way. Am I wrong? The absolute cut of the captain. Actually. It didn't hurt that kid. Damn. Ben roared, turned around, and threw his arms towards Vlad's head fiercely. Yeah. Vlad frowned, still sitting on the chair. The long legs came first, and he kicked Ben's chest straight. Ben seemed to be hit by a sea train, and flew back in an instant, with a lot of mouth. Blood spurted out and smashed directly into the cabin. Although I just wanted to know what level you are. I tried it on purpose. Vlad still leaned on the back of the chair leisurely and said, but after I try it, please don't be presumptuous. Actually kicked the captain. The captain of the Shichibukai rank was actually killed. Ah! With a loud roar, the tall figure rushed out of the ruins and rushed directly towards Vlad. "Don't you understand the gap between us?" Vlad smiled indifferently. "Go to hell." Iben's eyes flashed with madness. He would never admit that the gap between himself and the man in front of him would be so big. He would never admit it. The right arm stretched out suddenly, and the teeth grew on it, and it was turning violently, really like a chainsaw. Eben swung his outstretched arms as if he was wielding a great sword, and slashed his head toward Vlad's head. "Go to hell. I am the strongest. The light of ants." Vlad dismissed it. If anger can change the absolute strength gap, then what else do you need to cultivate? What about devil fruit? Vlad stretched out his right index finger, which was covered with fiery red scales. Searing rays. A little golden flame ignited at the tip of Vlad's index finger, then turned into a thin line of fire, shot out, and directly penetrated Iben's chest. Ah! Iben, who had been running wildly, suddenly fell to his knees, and a sharp pain came from his chest. Scoff! A golden flame ignited from Iben's chest and quickly spread to his entire body. Ah! Iben let out an inhuman scream. "Captain!" Someone rushed over to put out the flames on I itself, and took out a piece of clothing and started whipping the flames on I itself, but unfortunately, Vlad's flames could not be extinguished directly. Not only did the flame not go out, but it quickly spread to the pirate along the clothes, so there was one more person lying on the ground screaming. Crack! Vlad snapped his fingers, and the flames that had begun to spread towards the ship instantly extinguished. At this time, Iben, who was originally mighty, could only lie on the deck and pant heavily. "How?" Vlad said with a smile. "Have you realized the vastness of the sea a little now?" "No." Iben, whose whole body was blackened, muttered to himself, "No, how can the world be so vast?" "Okay, this is the end of the sideshow." Vlad stood up, his eyes turned golden, his pupils elongated, and fiery red scales appeared on his face. "Now, I declare that I have taken over this ship." A burst of momentum roared out, and the whole ship was creaking, as if it would fall apart at any time. Plop! Plop! The pirates on the boat rolled their eyes, lost consciousness, and fell to the ground. "Well," Vlad suddenly reacted, "I overdid it. Who will drive the boat now?" Chapter 10 Don Quixote. On the vast sea, a pirate ship roamed alone. It has been a week since Vlad forcibly took over the Hacksaw pirates. At Vlad's request, the ship changed course and rushed towards an unknown sea area. Vlad sat leisurely in the stern, holding a fishing rod in his hand, fishing leisurely. "Sir, afternoon tea." The famous pirate came over tremblingly and put a small plate of cake and a cup of steaming black tea in front of Vlad. "Yeah." Vlad didn't look back, he responded softly. The pirate got Vlad's response, his face suddenly relaxed, and he ran away quickly. For these Hacksaw pirates, Vlad just like a demon, he easily defeated his invincible captain, occupied his own ship, and used himself and others as servants. The most embarrassing thing is that they and others are completely unable to resist this man. Vlad's terrifying power has left a heavy shadow in their hearts. Vlad didn't care about the attitudes of these people. These people were just his hitchhikers. Even if he didn't meet him, they were just cannon fodder in the New World. Every day, there were such oversights. The trash fish was engulfed by the waves of the New World. As a strong man, he doesn't care about the opinions of these trash fish, it doesn't matter, okay. In this world, the strong are respected, and Vlad is deeply aware of this point. The four emperors are invincible in the New World. They are the only ones who bully others, and no one else bullies them. Marine suppressed the four seas, and the first half of the Great Route was run like an iron barrel, and all the pirates on the sea did not dare to compete with them. Why is that? Because they are strong enough. Both the four emperors and the Marine have extremely terrifying power. The four emperors themselves Marine Admiral, these top combat powers on the sea, and their incomparably terrifying forces, have caused the four emperors and Marine's incomparable power. Comparable. And both the four emperors and Marine are Vlad's imaginary enemies. They are the targets he is determined to surpass and defeat. His goals have been set very high from the very beginning, and there is not a single bit of concern for these unremarkable trash fish. Interest, the only communication between the two sides is that now he wants to take a ride. That's all. Vlad put the fishing rod aside, picked up the cake next to him, and tasted it leisurely, instead of taking a sip of the black tea, accompanied by the gentle sea breeze, which was really a kind of enjoyment. Vlad has been with Big Mom for 20 years. Except for the two-color hockey, except for various combat experience, other than these, he has not learned anything else, and he has learned 10% of his hobby for desserts. The 3 months on the deserted island were really hard for Vlad, and there was no dessert to eat. For Vlad, it was a very painful thing. Although he can't achieve the gluttony like Charlotte Linlin, he can't fight the obsessive-compulsive disorder like Katakuri, and he has to eat dessert at a fixed time every afternoon. But he also likes desserts very much, so as soon as he occupied the ship, he forced the cooks on the ship to cook him all kinds of sweets every day. Although it was far worse than the cooks of Wangwo, it was better than nothing. From this point of view, Vlad is really worthy of the character of Charlotte Linlin's son, and there is no doubt that he inherited the gene of Aunt's sweet tooth. Vlad was very happy to eat, and the leisurely afternoon time made him very comfortable. However, the sudden uproar came to his leisurely afternoon tea time. "Sir, pirate ship found ahead." A pirate trotted, came to Vlad's side, and whispered, pirate ship." Vlad didn't even look up. Leave them alone. He's busy eating cake now and doesn't care about these little problems at all. "Yes. What did the man say?" I himself was bandaged and asked eagerly. He was seriously injured, his whole body was severely burned, and a small hole was opened in his chest by Vlad's scorching laser. Even with the perverted resilience of the strong in the world of One Piece, King of Pirates, it was difficult to recover in a short time. My lord said, "Ignore them." The errant pirate replied. "Is that so?" Ben frowned. "Well, adjust the course a little bit, stay away from the ship, and adjust the course back when you are far away." "Yes." The subordinates dutifully carried out Ben's orders and steered the ship away from the approaching pirate ship. But there is a saying that the tree wants to be quiet but the wind is constant. They don't want to cause trouble, but it doesn't mean that people will let them go. "Puff puff, where do you want to go?" A voice came from above the boat. Ben raised his head, and under the dazzling sunlight, 2 figures came into view. One of them was a fat man with a khaki body and a propeller-like thing around his neck. It was constantly spinning, and the wind generated kept him suspended and stopped in the air. The other person was a woman, the woman standing on the man's back, a very beautiful woman in a red-maid outfit, with a huge rocket launcher on her back. "Who are you?" Ben asked. "Captain, if I'm not mistaken, they should be from the Don Quixote pirates." A pirate suddenly said. "Well." Ben was a little puzzled. Pirate stretched out his hand and pointed, "Look. I don't know when, the pirate ship has approached, and the stamp on the sail is undoubtedly the mark of the Don Quixote family. Shichibukai." After Vlad's baptism, Ben will naturally not be as arrogant as before, thinking that he is already one of the top combat powers in the world, and he also attaches importance to Shichibukai. "I don't know what you are doing?" Ben asked. "Puff puff." The khaki man smiled and said, "I was worried that this time I came out without any gain." "You're Hacksaw Ben, right? I've heard of you, a pirate with a bounty of 280 million. "That's right." Ben didn't mean to deny it, it was obvious that the other party had recognized him. "Puff puff. Then, we will accept your head." The man laughed. "What? Are you still going to fight? This is the pirate, this is the new world." The pirates talked a lot, but they didn't mean to be afraid. After all, monsters like Vlad were very few even in the new world. "Ha ha ha ha. You can come and try." The serrations on Ben's hand pierced the bandage and came out. "Buffalo, lift off." shouted the woman on the man's back. Puff puff. Buffalo blasted into the air, pulling the distance from the hacksaw pirates. Standing on Buffalo's back suddenly turned into two black rocket launchers. Go to hell. Bang. Two shells were fired directly. Not good. Ben's face changed, and his two hands suddenly turned into two great chainsaws, sweeping towards the two shells. Boom. After all, Ben was injured. Although one shell was split, another one fell on the deck. In the violent vibration, the ship was blown open with a big hole. It's over. This is the common voice of all the pirates of the Hacksaw Pirates. A burst of momentum rose from the stern, and a huge monster appeared in the stern. The fiery red scales shone in the sun, and the huge wings seemed to cover the sky. Who is it? Which bastard did it? The monster roared, and a small puddle of cake fell to the ground at his feet. Chapter 11 Useful Woman. Vlad has always believed that although he also likes sweets, he is far from being as crazy as Charlotte Linlin, and even worse than Katakuri's obsessive-compulsive disorder. He has always thought so. However, on this point, the Hacksaw Pirates, who had been with him for only a week, had a different opinion, an evaluation that was diametrically opposite to his evaluation of himself. Although he is not picky about desserts, whether it is the top pastry chef of IWC or the amateur chef of the Hacksaw Pirates, they all treat the dessert Vlad made by them equally. Special attention, at any time. It's not like Katakuri, in order to cover up his appearance, eat alone forever, and there are no restrictions on where to enjoy desserts. But Vlad had the only point he didn't notice. Vlad cherishes desserts very much, so he doesn't like people who waste desserts, especially those who waste them in front of him, especially those that belong to him, especially in someone messed up his dessert halfway through his meal. Yes, that is the case now. It's dead. Those two are dead, a pirate exclaimed. Who said no? Who is to blame? A pirate shook his head. Hey, isn't that you? Vlad instantly appeared among the pirates, grabbed Ben, who was wrapped in bandages, and his mouth full of sharp teeth was very close to Ben's head. Small flames spurted out with Vlad's words, scaring to Ben turned his head quickly, he had seen the power of this flame. No, Ben hurriedly denied it. Shouldn't he wait for this monster to burn himself for a while? Forget it, the wound on his body is still aching. Yes, my lord, not the captain. The pirates on the side quickly explained. How dare we disturb you during your meal? It's those two guys. A pirate pointed at the two people in the sky. Well. Vlad released Ben and turned to look at the two people in the sky. Hey, it looks familiar. Vlad thought so, but his words were really hockey. Is that you? Interfering with Lao Su's dessert time. What should I do? Buffalo, this guy doesn't look easy to mess with. The woman, the battle maid of the Don Quixote family, is called Baby 5, a weapon fruit-capable person who can turn her body into a weapon at will ability. What nonsense are you talking about? Baby 5, don't forget, we are members of the Don Quixote family, we can't lose the face of the young master. But, Baby 5 was still hesitant. What are you hesitating about? Baby 5, the Don Quixote family's face needs you to protect. Buffalo directly dispatched the weapon to kill Baby 5. Need me? Do you need me? Baby 5 stroked his face with both hands, looking very excited. Okay, I will fight hard for the Don Quixote family. Puff puff. Yes, we were attacking this ship just now. Buffalo said, we are members of the Don Quixote family. Below, do you have any comments? Really? It's you who interrupted Lao Su's dessert time. Vlad pulled out a smile on his scaly face. It's you who made Lao Su's last bite of cake fall to the ground. Huh. Buffalo was a little confused. Brush. Vlad instantly appeared in front of Buffalo's eyes, and golden flames burst out from his right hand. Although it's a bit of a fuss to say dealing with trash fish like you. Vlad slammed Buffalo's face with a heavy punch, and the sound of bone cracks could be clearly heard. But who the hell made you dare to do such an unforgivable thing? Dragon fist, dragon claw, one bone. Buffalo didn't realize what happened at all, only felt a pain in his head, then lost consciousness, turned into a line of fire under the package of flames, and slammed heavily on the boat with the Don Quixote flag. And soon, golden flames began to spread on that ship. What? Baffa, Baby 5, who only felt that the figure flashed in front of him, had already lost his footing, and exclaimed. What's it called? Vlad grabbed Baby 5 feet's neck. Vlad in dragon form was nearly 6 meters tall. Grabbing Baby 5 was like grabbing a chick without any effort. Hey, next, what should I do with you? Vlad's mouth curled into a malicious smile. You bastard, let the old lady go. Baby -5 is not a weak little woman. Her arm turned into a rocket launcher, and fired a shot at Vlad's head. After all, Vlad's body is very big now, and his head is also big, so he doesn't need to aim at all. Ha! Vlad opened his mouth and swallowed the shell directly. PFF'd. A dull explosion came from his mouth. Well, your gunpowder is not good, the taste is a little weak. Vlad commented with interest. You, what kind of monster are you? Baby 5 was stunned. What kind of existence is this monster? Swallowing bombs directly, even the young master of his own family, Heavenly Yaksha Don Quixote, Doflamingo, one of Shichibukai, can't do it. Oh, I miss you. Vlad saw the woman turning her arm into a gun barrel, and immediately remembered the woman's identity. You are the weapon girl next to the clown. Since you know that the old lady is the young master's person, why don't you let the old lady go? Let it go. PFF tilde woo ha 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 ha. Vlad couldn't help laughing. Hey, stupid woman, what do you think a clown is? Do you want to scare Lao Su just because of that guy? If you want Lao Su to be afraid, you must at least be a big man of the level of the 4th Emperor Admiral. What is a mere Doflamingo? Vlad was overjoyed. How dare you? Baby 5 is extremely angry, and the popularity of Doflamingo in the Don Quixote family is unimaginable for many people. By the way, I remember your character setting is. Vlad suddenly remembered the setting of this woman and said with a smile, I need you very much, come and be my man. Really, do you really need me? Baby 5, who was still furious just now, immediately looked very shy, and asked expectantly, covering his face. Ah ha ha ha, Vlad laughed. That's right, I need you very much. Come and do my stuff. No way, since you need me so much, I can only do what you want. Baby 5 looked very happy, not full of anger before. Ah ha ha ha. Vlad smiled, this woman is so interesting, she will not refuse anyone's request at all, she will only obey blindly, and she can betray her with a single word. I really don't understand why Doflamingo would let such a woman stay by your side. However, her fruit ability is indeed not bad. It can be turned into a fruit of various weapons. If it is used well, it is still very useful. Chapter 12 Education Made. Oh, is it because there is sea water? Vlad looked down at the big ship that was teetering in the fire with some surprises. Although the upper layer was completely covered by the flames, the lower layer was still in a relatively intact state, and the flames did not spread. Well, are there still people alive? Vlad's observation hockey didn't reach the level of mind reading that the god on Sky Island cooperated with the fruit's ability to read, let alone reach the level of Katakuri's short-term prediction of the future and Fujito Reiso's ability to perceive meteorites in space, but it is not weak. After all, for nearly 10 years before, he had no fruit ability and could only constantly hone his fighting technique and two-color hockey to perceive the few thugs in the cabin below who don't have hockey. Although I'm not afraid of Doflamingo, but now is not the time to fight him, in order to reduce trouble. Still. Vlad raised his empty left hand, a small ball of fire condensed in his palm, and the jumping flames looked very beautiful. Well, King Huo Ping. The fireball shot out, pulling the long tail flame, like a small meteor, easily hitting the huge ship, and there was no need to aim at all. After all, if such a big target is still inaccurate, if so, Vlad can really die. Boom. The huge explosion erupted in an instant with the hit of the fireball, and the already crumbling Don Quixote family pirate ship turned into dust in the sky of the mushroom cloud and disappeared into the vast sea. Well, okay, it's cleaned up now. Vlad nodded, confirming that there were no fish that slipped through the net on the boat, and this was considered a real clean. Forget it, don't call Kang Huazui, it seems that there is still a copyright, it feels very out of tune with this world. Vlad thought, it's really hard to get a name or something. Buffalo, quote. Baby 5, who was lifted by Vlad in his hand, shouted angrily. After all, that idiot named Buffalo was her childhood sweetheart who grew up together. Although it looked really inappropriate from the outside, it was true. Death to my mother, son of a bitch. Tears poured out like a fountain in the woman's right hand, which turned into a huge iron sword, and slashed at Vlad in the head. Hey, I need you very much. Are you going to deal with me who needs you so much? Vlad gently isho, so to speak. Really, do you really need me? Baby 5 asked, retracting the change in his hand. Of course, you are a necessity. Vlad smiled happily. Well, you said so, I will reluctantly agree to your request. Tears welled up in Baby 5's eyes, but he said words that had nothing to do with sadness. Woo ha 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 ha, you woman, it's really interesting. Vlad carried Baby 5 and landed on the Hacksaw Pirate's ship, lifted the change, and said with a smile, Alola, why are you crying nonstop? Did you cry for the guy before? He is me, my enemy. Are you crying for that enemy, whom I need so much? I don't know, my mother doesn't know either. Baby 5 cried. It should be the enemies, but the tears can't stop. If you want to cry, then cry. There is no shame in crying for a dead friend. Vlad turned his head to the stern, ready to continue his fishing career. The maid's heart-wrenching cry came from behind. Vlad said silently, I will feel guilty, but I will not regret it, let alone apologize. This sea is like this, I will only tell myself, if I don't want to cry like this, if I don't want others to cry for myself. If this is the case, then continue to become stronger than anyone else. Strong enough that no one dares to provoke you. Dash 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 dash. Bae, you die to the old lady. Wearing a red miniskirt and a white apron, the right hand of the maid with a cigarette in her mouth turned into a huge knife and slashed straight at the man lying on the deck chair enjoying the sun. Oh, it's here again. A pirate who was cleaning a knife next to him shook his head and sighed. Who said it wasn't? Why didn't this woman give up? Another pirate sitting on the side replied. Era pull. Vivi, who closed his eyes and was enjoying the sunbath, opened his eyes, smiled and looked at the menacing woman, stretched out a finger, and the dark armament was wrapped around it. Die, you bastard, die for my mother. Baby 5 slashed towards Vlad mercilessly. Oh, let the horses come. Vlad held out a finger. Ding. The broadsword was deflected directly, and an obvious notch appeared on the blade. Damn. Baby 5 gritted his teeth, completely unacceptable for such a result. The broadsword retracted instantly, replaced by a chainsaw. With a low humming sound, Baby 5 turned around lightly, and the chainsaw swiped towards Vlad again. Hey, that's my trick. Ben, who was sitting in the sun to detoxify the bandages, complained, you are plagiarism. Hey, is there anyone who can take care of it? Someone here is plagiarizing in broad daylight. Cut, can the pirate thing be considered a copy? Baby 5, who was knocked to the ground by Vlad's backhand, replied with disdain. Well Tilda, Vlad said weakly on the reclining chair. It's still some progress, but it's not enough. To be my crew, maid, you have to keep working hard. At least, the two-color hockey has to master it. Who wants to be your crew member? You bastard, my mother will kill you sooner or later. Baby 5 got up and yelled, I am a member of the Don Quixote family. Even if I were beaten to death by you, burned to death, and jumped from there, I would not submit to you. Oh. Vlad turned over, lay on the reclining chair, and said leisurely, "It's dessert time, maid, please, go and make me a cake." "Chocolate." "Yes." Baby 5 happily trotted into the cabin with a smile on his face, and went to make dessert for Vlad full of energy. "Hey, did you promise not to give in?" Ben spit out. "Isn't this yielding right away? It's not as determined as I said." "Ah ha ha ha." Vlad laughed. Baby 5 is worthy of being a professional maid. As far as desserts are concerned, the skill points are more than that of the amateur chef of the Hacksaw Pirates, and the dessert level is obviously higher. Soon, the Baby 5 with a cake and a cup of black tea ran out with a big smile. "Come on, Lord Vlad, your dessert." "Why should I make dessert for you, bastard?" With a sudden change of expression, Baby 5 threw the cake in his hand and cursed, his hand turning into a cannon again. "Ah! What did she do?" "It's over." Many pirates hugged and shivered. The temperature rose suddenly, a huge shadow enveloped the deck, and a huge fire dragon was already standing on the deck. Roar. Chapter 13. The strongest in the world. Baby 5, who was taught a lesson by Vlad, is finally a little more honest, at least not afraid to spoil desserts in front of Vlad's face. She knew by example the monster's almost distorted obsession with desserts. Deny. X23 US. Com updates fastest. However, this so-called honesty is only aimed at not wasting desserts. At the rest of the time, she also yells and kills at Vlad, and Vlad doesn't care. This woman wants to hurt him, just like when Ace wanted to hurt Whitebeard when he first joined the Whitebeard Pirates. It was a world of difference. For example, now. Die. The sleeping Vlad was unconscious, and the maid's arm that sneaked in was turned into a drill, and the high-speed rotating drill that could easily smash gold and crack stones stabbed straight at the sleeping Vlad. "Don't make trouble." Vlad groaned, his hands merciless, his huge fist smashed directly into the maid's face, and the beautiful face was deformed by the smash, and even a little sunken. Baby 5 lost consciousness in an instant, flew back upside down, smashed the cabin, and flew onto the deck. Ha tilde. Vlad yawned, stretched out of the cabin, and saw the pirates gathered on the deck at a glance, talking and even laughing. "Oh yeah." Vlad came over and said softly, "What happened in the early morning?" After getting along for a while, the pirates of the Hacksaw Pirates have probably figured out Vlad's temperament. Although he sometimes acts like a monster, as long as he doesn't provoke him, this man is still very easy to get along with. Yes, as long as he doesn't disturb his dessert time, this man is still easy to get along with. "Lord, look." A pirate smirked and pointed his finger. "Oh." Vlad looked at the maid hanging on the mast with some surprise. Her face was blue and she was still in a drowsiness. "Oh, I said why there was a hole in the room when I woke up. It turned out that this maid was doing it again." "Things." Vlad jumped, gently lifted the maid down, and shook it. "Hey, maid, wake up, it's breakfast time." Baby 5 opened her eyes slowly, and she only felt pain in her face, as if her face had been hit hard by a hammer. It was very painful. "What's wrong with me? How can I be here?" Baby 5 is a little confused. "It's you, bastard." The first time he opened his eyes, Baby 5 saw Vlad's face, and then he completely remembered what happened last night. He was punched away by this man, and it seemed that he had spent a night on the deck. Okay, if you're angry, you'll be fine again. Now, please go to me and make breakfast, okay?" Vlad gently placed the maid on the ground and said so. "Yes, Lord Vlad." Baby 5 was very obedient, and walked into the cabin with cheerful laughter all the way. "Really obedient. Changing your face." The pirates on the deck complained. .. After breakfast, it was customary for Vlad to bask in the sun and train the maid. "No, it's not strong enough. Didn't you eat?" Vlad easily kicked the maid and said leisurely. "You bastard, the old lady must kill you today." Baby 5, who had slid a distance on the deck, got up angrily, and 2 cannons appeared in her left and right hands. "How many times is this?" a pirate asked. "Let me see." Another pirate took out a small notebook. I must kill you. This sentence is the 582nd time. You bastard, 1325 times. Before I start, it doesn't count before the stats. Amazing. Dash 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 dash. Captain. Found the shadow of the ship ahead. The loud voice of the observer broke the harmony on the deck. Well, is it some inexplicable pirate group again? Ben stood up and moved his body for a while, with a strong will to fight in his eyes. As the shipping fee, Vlad had nothing to do and pointed out the use of the man's hockey. Who had seen Vlad's terrifying hockey power, naturally would not despise this power. He now knew that in the new world, hockey was the most important power. Time is very short. Ben did not inspire hockey, although hockey is the power hidden in everyone's heart, but it is not so easy to inspire, although it is the power of the bad street in the new world. Why is it in the first half of the Great Route? Why are Duan and Shikai hockey so rare? Because of lack of physical strength, hockey needs physical support. People with insufficient strength are really difficult to inspire, especially armament, hockey. Of course, Ben, as this year's pirate supernova, offered a bounty of 280 million pirates. This is completely enough for him. The only thing he lacks is time and fighting. Constant fighting is the best way to understand hockey. So Ben became very excited when he heard that a ship appeared. That ship is. The observer's voice became excited, as if he had seen something terrifying. Well. Vlad pressed the maid's face with one hand, suppressing her resistance, and looked up into the distance. Hey, no. Vlad stood up with an incredible expression on his face. Why does such a big man appear in such a place? Sir. Ben came over a little puzzled. Vlad threw Baby 5 aside, with a fanatical smile on his face. I didn't expect to meet them in such a place. That ship is. Ben also saw the appearance of the ship clearly. Moby Dick. Anyway, Vlad has been on this ship for a while, and he has a good sense of this group of pirates. In his spare time, while pointing out Ben hockey, he also learned about the major forces that the New World cannot provoke. The emblem printed on the sail of the Moby Dick is one of the 4 major forces that he emphasized the most not to provoke. Just because that symbol represents a man, the most legendary man in this sea, the man who has won the title of the strongest in the world. That ship, without a doubt, is the main ship of the Whitebeard pirates, the vehicle of the strongest man in the world, Whitebeard, Edward Newgate. Why did you meet the Whitebeard pirates, one of the 4 emperors, in the first half of the New World? A pirate screamed. Aren't they working in the second half of the New World? Why, isn't this the intersection of Kaido and Big Mom's spheres of influence? Idiot, Vlad said. Who do you think is sitting on that boat? Whitebeard is not a man who can be afraid. In his opinion, Beasts and Big Mom are probably just 2 little devils. This man is so arrogant. Sir, what shall we do? Ben asked. He has no masters now. After all, what is in front of him is the man who is known as the strongest in the world. What to do? Vlad glanced at Ben. Of course it's welcome. Haven't you been looking forward to defeating the Whitebeard pirates? Chapter 14 Whitebeard. As early as more than 20 years ago, in this sea, the names of 3 pirates resounded in this vast new world. Countless pirates feared them and admired them. Their battles are still enjoyed by people. Road. The 3 names are Galdi Roger, Golden Lion Shiki, and Whitebeard Edward Newgate. The rise of 3 unprecedented pirates has made the already turbulent sea even more chaotic. One Piece King of Pirates Galdi Roger surrendered himself 19 years ago, that is, in the Sea Circle calendar 1498. He ended his life in Logatown, the beginning and end of his journey. At the same time, he opened up the magnificent era of great pirates. The Golden Lion Shiki entered the marine headquarters alone, and was captured alive by the resourceful General Sengoku and the hero Garp after destroying half of the marine headquarters. After completing the breakthrough of Impel Down, he disappeared, leaving only one of the 3 legends. Edward Newgate, This name is undoubtedly a legend on this sea, a true legend, and in every corner of the sea, children will sing the same nursery rhyme. This nursery rhyme goes like this: the great pirate Whitebeard is more terrifying than the devil. Countless people all over the world hold this man in awe. In their opinion, this man is more terrifying than evil spirits, and he is truly a big man who can shake the world. Four Emperors is a title that has appeared in the last 10 years. In the era of One Piece, King of Pirates, there is no such title. Whitebeard himself is a little disdainful of such a title. After all, for him, whether it is Kaido, Charlotte Linlin is still a junior, and the red-haired Shanks is just a trainee crew on the ship of his rival Roger. However, Whitebeard is old after all. Even the man called Monster can't resist the invasion of time, the rise of those three monsters. Even Whitebeard is powerless. Even this man called the strongest man in the world can only choose to accept this pattern formation. Fortunately, what Whitebeard pursued in his life was not hegemony, nor the title of One Piece, King of Pirates. All he wanted was the existence of his family. Fortunately, this was the only thing he achieved. This man will never have any regrets in his life: wealth, fame, power, and a man who also has everything. Sir. Ben's eyes were wide open, and he looked a little ignorant. After these days, Vlad's face, he was no longer the long ocean who wanted to be day and night. Ben, who had some understanding of the power of the four emperors, heard Vlad's words were overshadowed. Ah ha 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 ha. Vlad laughed. Just kidding, of course kidding. Vlad looked at the large ship decorated with whales from a distance, with a smile on the corner of his mouth. It's still too early for us to fight against such an opponent. Turn around, let's go around a bit and avoid the Moby Dick. Although it's a little unwilling, but guys, before we have enough strength, it's better for us to bow our heads a little bit. Vlad laughed. Yes, my lord. Ben naturally would not disagree, and being able to avoid those monsters was something he could not wish for. Dash 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 dash. Dad, I found a boat ahead. On the huge Moby Dick, a man with a pineapple head was sitting on the side of the boat, and noticed the boat slowly approaching in front of him. Of course, compared to the Moby Dick, it was really just a small boat, and he turned back and said to a man. See you la 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 la. Marco, leave them alone. The man was sitting on a huge chair, with several needles stuck in his naked upper body, but he was still drinking a bucket of wine in his hands, and his beard like a crescent moon was the most eye-catching. There is no doubt that this man is the captain of the Whitebeard pirates, the strongest man in the world, Whitebeard Edward Newgate. Captain, everyone said stop drinking. Yes, if you drink it, your body will deteriorate again. The two little nurses, unafraid of Whitebeard's majesty, approached him and tried to take away his barrel. Kula la la la. This is not good. Whitebeard laughed. It doesn't matter what your body is, but you must drink wine. Dad, listen to them once in a while. The man with a mustache laughed. It's useless, Vista, don't you know Dad's temper? Said Diamond Jozu, a burly man who was probably the richest man in the world. Kola la 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 la. Whitebeard laughs, and it's especially satisfying to get along like family. Oh, Dad. Marco said with some surprise. That ship turned. Oh. Marco, you're still paying attention to that ship. Vista came over, looked at the boat that was gradually moving away, and smiled. Ah. Marco's face was a little heavy. I always feel that there is an aura that cannot be underestimated. Oh, Vista was a little curious. You don't feel wrong, do you? Marco didn't fight. Observation hockey was strong to a certain extent, and it was not incomprehensible to feel the existence of a strong enemy. See you la 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 la. Marco. Whitebeard didn't care. The sea is extremely vast, and no one knows what kind of secrets are lurking somewhere. Don't care. But Dad, what if the people up there have bad thoughts about us? Marco's expression was solemn. Kola la 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 la. Whitebeard sat up straight and held the big knife standing beside him. Marco, my silly son, what bad thoughts do you have for us? Father, It's Whitebeard. The big knife slammed heavily on the deck, and the terrifying momentum rose into the sky. The huge sails of the Moby Dick were actually blown to the full, and the weaker crew members around suddenly felt a sense of being untenable. The world the strongest man shows a little boldness is unparalleled majesty. Yeah, Marco, it doesn't matter who the enemy is or who is malicious to us. Vista laughed. Marco, you really think a little too much. Diamond Jozu said solemnly. Ha 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 ha. Marco suddenly laughed and said, yes, I've been thinking too much. Oh, we are not someone else, we are Whitebeard pirates. Yes, because they are the Whitebeard pirates, they don't care about any enemy. They believe in their captains, their fathers, and their companions. They firmly believe that they are invincible. This is the Whitebeard pirates, the pirates that have been invincible since decades ago, the strongest pirates led by the strongest man on the blue sea. Chapter 15 Pattern. Watching the huge Moby Dick continue to go away, Vlad leaned on the side of the ship, his hands crossed his chest, and a mocking smile hung on the corner of his mouth. Whitebeard, after all, is old. Vlad whispered. Go to hell, asshole. Baby 5 who flew over, and his thoughts still didn't stop. Whitebeard is indeed getting old, he is no longer the man of the Waiba Blue Sea back then, and even he can't escape the tempering of the years. The current Whitebeard still has the strongest title, in fact, there is no obvious advantage over the other 3 monsters. Even, due to the influence of the disease, Vlad even wondered, will Whitebeard no longer exist? A power that rivals the rest of the 4 emperors. After all, for a monster like Aunt Kaido, physical strength is absolutely indispensable. Kaido has been captured several times, torn off the chains that bound him, smashed the guillotine, and sank the battleship. The man who claims to be immortal, Charlotte Linlin, is a natural destruction king who can defeat giant heroes at the young age of 5, and he has not been injured in decades by a steel balloon. Vlad is really unimaginable. Why does Whitebeard, who is now old and debilitated, defeat these 2 monsters? Although the power of the Fruit of Shock is extremely terrifying, it is impossible to defeat these 2 people in a short time, and it will take a long time. A confrontation is almost a sure outcome. And once it enters the stalemate stage, even if Whitebeard can prevail in the early stage, can he really endure until he defeats the enemy due to his illness? Vlad is very curious about this. The 4 emperors have been on the heads of all the pirates for too long. Many silver medalists in the New World have lost their determination to compete with the 4 emperors, and only some supernovas every year dare to. Confronting these 4 monsters, of course, the result can only be a fiasco. It's 3 years before Luffy goes to sea, and 5 years before the worst generation makes waves in the New World. Compared with the turbulent waves a few years later, the New World is still calm. It has been a long time since there has been a fierce conflict between the 4 emperors. Vlad is really curious. Whitebeard, this man who claims to be the strongest, in the end how has it declined? The 4 emperors have been suppressing the New World pattern for more than 10 years. Finally, after 3 years, with the end of the war on the top, Whitebeard finished his life, and the Whitebeard pirates also fell to the position of the 4 emperors and seized the position of the 4 emperors. Blackbeard, who had inherited Whitebeard's legacy, took the flight, and that man was undoubtedly the most dangerous man in the sea. Then, the new era headed by the protagonist Monkey D. Luffy poured into the New World, and the rule of the 4 emperors finally began to crumble. Big Mom pirate group that was beaten by half the Straw Hat pirates, or the Beast pirates that were almost sure to be defeated by the Straw Hats. The future encounters of these 2 4 emperor pirates will be all over the place. Tell Vlad one thing, the seemingly incomparably stable 4 emperors pattern. In 5 years, there is no doubt that the Shikai body will be opened. Vlad didn't want to miss that feast, or in other words, no matter who it was, as long as it was an ambitious man, he definitely didn't want to miss that glorious ball. So he desperately wants to leave the Big Mom pirate group. His father's hatred is one aspect, and on the other hand, the Big Mom group has already made him lose hope for the future. There is no doubt about the power of the 4 emperors. Their power is reflected in the strength of the individual and their huge power. Even if the Marine headquarters wants to defeat a 4 Emperor pirates, it is a difficult thing, unless each for the imperial capital was in a panic. Like the Whitebeard pirates 2 years later, they rushed directly to the Marine headquarters and wanted to fight Marine to the death. However, that's all. The strength of the 4 emperors has reached the level where they cannot develop upwards, whether it is the strength of individuals or the power of groups. Always wants to marry the major forces to expand her power, so Kaido has been collecting various zone abilities to expand her army of capable people. However, that's all. Compared to their original strength, these forces that can be drawn are really not worth mentioning, and they are not very strong for their own strengthening. In a word, the New World is limited after all. It's just a trivial piece of sea in this sea. Although this is the strongest sea in the world, it is indeed only that big, and the pirate group it can afford is also there are only so many, and the 4 Emperor pirates are already the limit. Therefore, for the new era of unlimited ambition, the existence of the 4 emperors is extremely annoying. Their existence blocks the way of most pirates, so once a strong leader appears, the collapse of the 4 emperors is not difficult. Imagine things. As Whitebeard himself said, he is a remnant of the old era, the new world has no ships that can carry him, and the 4 emperors are undoubtedly the old era that opposes the new eras in the future. Aunt Kaido didn't say anything. She was a big pirate from the Roger era. Even the youngest red-haired Shanks was just an unambitious man. He blocked everything on Luffy. To be honest, compared to the other 3 monsters, the red-haired man is really a bit strange. Vlad really can't figure out the purpose of his going to sea. What is this man going to sea for? Are you adventurous? He has followed Roger all the way to greatness. Family. No one but Whitebeard would think so. One Piece, King of Pirates. It's even more unlikely. If the redhead's purpose is to be One Piece, King of Pirates, he just doesn't have to give Luffy that straw hat, let alone an arm. Although there is no reason for a man to yearn for the sea, only the red-haired man has extraordinary strength, but he can't see a trace of ambition. What is the purpose of his existence? To this question, Vlad has only one possible answer, and that is that this man is really only going to sea for Luffy, which may be a little inaccurate. It should be said that this man is only going to sea to let Roger continue to live. The purpose of sending out the sea may just be to inherit Roger's will, so when he saw Luffy who was just like Roger, he dared to directly bet one of his own hands. Of course, this is just Vlad's personal conjecture and cannot be determined. However, there is no doubt that this man with red hair has no ambition to fight for hegemony. That is to say, he does not care about the position of the 4 emperors. That is to say, even if the 4 emperors collapsed, he didn't care, maybe he only cared about Luffy. In this way, Vlad really can't think of any reason that can prevent the collapse of the 4 emperors pattern in a few years. Just as Doflamingo said, after that is the era of heroes. So Vlad can't hold back now. He is about to start action, although the wind of the times has not yet blown, but the goddess of luck will always favor those who are prepared. Chapter 16 Gulen, Tesoro. The New World is very vast. Countless countries live in a sea area. The countries here have strengths far superior to the 4 seas and paradise. There are even many countries that are aggregates of huge pirate groups. For example, the world where the Big Mom pirate group is located is a dream country where all races in the world can live on an equal footing dreamed by Aunt Charlotte Linlin. At least the propaganda is like this. After all, Vlad, who has lived in the Charlotte family for 20 years, is very interested in this country. The insider has a very deep understanding. 34 islands scattered around Cake Island together form this huge kingdom, which is the property of the Big Mom pirate group. One of the 4 emperors, Torrent of the Nations, one of the 4 emperors, who is the most powerful country even in the New World. There are many special countries in the New World, such as Zo, the country of fur tribes on the back of a giant elephant, the country of warriors who are close to the country, and the country where the cub lives, Wano-kuni. Of course, these special countries must also include the country that is now appearing in front of Vlad and his party. This is a huge ship. Because it is too huge, it seems a bit inappropriate to call it a ship. In fact, it is more suitable to use an island, or a city or a country. The name of this ship is Gran, a strong contender for the largest ship in the world. At least, the poor little ship of the Hacksaw pirates looks a little shabby in front of it. The name of this ship is in the New World. No, it is famous all over the world, and everyone with a little knowledge has heard the reputation of this ship more or less. Because it's not just a ship, it's a city, a country. Yes, this ship is a country, an independent country recognized by the world government, the largest entertainment city in the world. There is no doubt that this is the largest gold-selling cave in the world. All the entertainment you can think of can be easily found here, and it will definitely do better and better than the places famous for these entertainments. Outstanding. Every day, countless people spend a lot of money here, whether they are pirates or marines, whether they are white or gangsters. In this place, everyone has a tacit understanding and does not care about their identities outside. Here, they are just some fun-seeking people who make fun. Therefore, in this city, it is very easy to see the enemies who should never die together drinking wine and chatting about the glorious days of the past, and to see the marine pirates who are fighting in the outside world and have a bloody vengeance with each other, applauding each other's victories. This city is really a magical city. Here, as long as money is king, only going is the highest authority, and if you have leftover going, then you will be a guest forever. Yes, as long as there is going, you are a VIP, but it is impossible to always be rich, so the dark side of this country is naturally exposed, and countless losers are trapped in this city of drunken money and lost everything they had: wealth, companionship, life and freedom. This is a great city, and even from the perspective of Vlad's traveler, he has to admit such a thing. Although this city has a huge shadow, what cannot be hidden is its bright brilliance. It condenses. It has created all the entertainment methods that human beings can imagine, and has attracted countless people in the world. Therefore, it is precisely because of the greatness of this city that there will naturally be countless careerists who want to occupy it, at least to tear off a piece of meat from this piece of fat. Needless to say, this is a new world. Even in a relatively stable world, such things are very common. However, most of the careerists hit their heads and blood on this boat, and their minions were severely beheaded. They could only lick the bleeding wound and run as far as they wanted, and never dared to fight again. Here's the idea. Why? Because the owner of this city is called Guild Tesoro, a man who controls nearly 20% of the world's bailey. Using the power of money, he can even manipulate Tenryubito to a certain extent, and then influence the decision-making of the world government. There is his industry all over the world. His strength is not reflected in his individual strength. Just like Heavenly Yaksha on Darrow's Rosa, the more important role of these dark world giants is the chains. It is the chain that locks many monsters in the world. Once they have a problem, the world will usher in a huge storm. This regard, Tesoro has done better than Don Quixote Doflamingo. His industry is far larger than that of the clown. The clown's biggest reliance is only his former Tenryubito identity and the secret of the Tenryubito national treasure he holds. However, Tesoro has reached such a level by himself. This man is very dangerous. As a person who can establish a foothold in the new world, Tesoro is not only strong in his power, but also in his personal strength. Paramesha's golden fruit ability has already reached the realm of awakening. All the goings in this city are manipulated by him at will. Here, no one can get rid of him. It is really difficult to resist Tesoro in this city. His power has been greatly strengthened in this city of going. It is impossible to easily defeat him without the combat power of the Four Emperors Admiral. It is extremely difficult. Vlad didn't come here to play. Of course, he came here to find Tesoro, and he wanted to talk to him about something very important. Wow! A pirate from the Hacksaw Pirates exclaimed. This is the legendary largest entertainment city in the world, Gurantai Solo. Yeah, I heard that you can find all the entertainment that humans have here. A pirate looked forward. The owner of this city is that Guild Tesoro, right? The most famous star in the world, said a pirate. Really, can we go to his concert? He's my idol. My lord, is this our destination? Amid the clamor, Eben walked over to Vlad and asked softly. Bastard, let go of the old lady. If you feel the way, let go. Yes, this is the end. Vlad put his hand on the maid's face, and the huge force made baby 5 feet's delicate face extremely distorted. 2 hands kept pulling on Vlad's hand, trying to break free from Vlad's restraint. I haven't been to this place in a while. Vlad threw baby 5 out, stretched out, looked at the brightly lit giant ship, and said with some emotion. Chapter 17 Hang my flag. Ah! Bastard, you give my mother to die. The tossed baby 5, waving the great swords in both hands, rushed towards Vlad with great perseverance, with a ferocious expression on his face, as if he really wanted to hack Vlad to death. Rad was the man who killed her best friend with his own hands, and also insulted Doflamingo, who was a god in her heart, which she couldn't bear. For this, Vlad has to admire Doflamingo. Although this heavenly yaksha is just like that, he is really good at demagogic people. His subordinates are all his brainless fans. He is willing to die for him and think that he will eventually have Monet, who is able to become One Piece, king of pirates in one day, and the 4 top cadres who were not very good but had high self-esteem even thought that he could be king since childhood. This is something Vlad can't keep up with. From this point of view, Doflamingo is really good. Okay, maid, I'm on business now. Vlad Vivi staggered, dodged the maid's blow, picked up her collar, and said softly, please, keep quiet from now on, this is what I need very much. Yes, Lord Vlad. Baby 5 changed his face instantly, raised his right hand in response to Vlad's words, his face flushed with excitement, obviously being needed by others is really very satisfying for her. Sir, shall we just drive in? Aben said this to Vlad. There is a huge entrance not far away. There are some ships coming in and out intermittently. Every ship has some gold powder sprinkled from the entrance passage, which is extraordinarily beautiful. Vlad turned his head. No, just go back here, I'll just go in with the maid. What? Ben was a little surprised. I said you can go back. Vlad looked at Eben with a puzzled look. In other words, the days when I occupied your hacksaw pirates are over, and from now on, your free voyage should also begin. But, Ben hesitated. This ship, this city, Bulan Tesoro is not a fun place. It's better not to come to this place for a supernova pirate group like you. Vlad explained. No, my lord, that's not what I meant. Eben explained. I know that such a glorious city cannot be without darkness. So, let's go back. Vlad smiled and said, be sure to remember my words. Don't be too arrogant in this sea, your strength is still too far behind. I know this kind of thing very well, my lord. After your lesson, I have understood that our strength is still very weak. Ben replied. Okay, before you have enough strength, you can hide well. Hockey cultivates well. This thing is the biggest support in the new world. Vlad stretched out a pair of huge wings behind his back and hugged the maid's waist. The wings flapped gently, a strong wind blew on the deck, and Vlad slowly rose. Okay, let's say goodbye here. Come on. Your own New World voyage has begun. Wait a minute, Lord Vlad. Just as Vlad was about to fly away, Eben suddenly shouted. Well, what? Vlad turned his head. Is there anything else you want to say? Ben suddenly knelt on one knee on the ground, with a serious expression on his face. Master Vlad, please accept my allegiance. Oh. Vlad was a little puzzled. Allegiance? I'm just a loner. What's your allegiance? Although you are indeed alone now, my lord. Ben had a fanatical smile on his face. But, I know that you have already started to act. I know that one day, sooner or later, this sea will be turned upside down by you. I know that our limit is just that, and we may not be able to participate in the future frenzy. But, I'm not reconciled. My lord. The reason why I go to sea is to do something in this sea, and I also want to sail in the storm. However, I didn't understand it before, and now I finally understand that our strength alone is not enough, and I am not reconciled, but the most hateful thing is that there are natural moats in the world that cannot be crossed by faith alone. I know, I can't get over it. The difference between my ability and my ambition is really, really, too big. Ben burst into tears, but the man who was almost burned to death by Vlad without frowning was really crying now. Vlad's eyes narrowed. He didn't expect this man to say such a thing. Captain. No more, Captain. Many pirates threw down beside their captain with tears in their eyes, shouting in their mouths. So, please let me follow you. Lord Vlad, I don't want my voyage to end like this. I don't want my life to end in failure. I want to see the highest scenery in the world. Quote. So, Lord Vlad, please let me join your team. Huh. Vlad exhaled slowly and said, I'm just a nobody on the sea, why do you have so much confidence in me? Yes, my lord, you are indeed unknown now, but... Ben said, of course it is impossible for a strong person like you to be ordinary, and it is impossible to become a strong person just by faith, but without enough strong belief support, it is impossible to become a strong person. My lord, you have such power, and you are even willing to be ordinary, willing to hide your power and not expose your minions. Such a spirit is definitely not something that ordinary people can have. It can only show that you have a broader ambition, for which you are willing to hide yourself. Quote. PFF'd. Woo ha 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 ha. Vlad was silent for a while, then looked up to the sky with a long smile. Very good, Ben, you are very good. Please accept our allegiance. Ben's head was buried low. Vlad stretched out a finger, and a line of fire shot out from the finger with fiery red scales. Vlad slid Vivi's finger and gently drew a pattern on the deck of the Hacksaw pirate's ship. If you will, when my name is spread all over the world. Vlad turned around and flew away, leaving only his voice lingering, then hang up my flag. Ben looked at the steaming pattern in front of him. It was a skull dragon head with fangs on its mouth, long horns on its head, and wings on its back. Yes, I am always at your call. Ben shouted. Captain. Chapter 18 Guild Tesoro. The night has appeared silently, and the sunset has long fallen into the end of the sea, unable to sway his afterglow. X23 US. Com updates fastest. However, this big ship named Tesoro did not show any sign of night coming. The lights were so bright that it seemed to have completely blocked the darkness of night. If there is really a sign of night coming, it can only be a more noisy environment and the complete opening of various entertainment projects. Many entertainment projects are only suitable for starting at night, which also leads to many people turning their day and night upside down, and going out at night, and only come out at night, so here, night is far more important than day. Lively. Tesoro is a building similar to the ancient Roman Colosseum. Now, it is full of people because the owner of this city is a man who can compete with the Diamond Jozu for the title of the richest in the world. Guild Tesoro will soon carry out a public execution of a group of pirates here. This group of pirates are not simple characters. In paradise, they have a well-known name, Supernova. They can do whatever they want in the first half of the Great Route, but here, they can only be the bait for the strong. It really can't be ironic. Okay, friends from the audience, now we'll have tonight's big. A sturdy man with a big green back held a microphone in his hand, and said loudly in front of the eager audience around him. This forgiving man with a pair of sunglasses on his head and a pink suit is naturally Vlad's goal, going Tesoro. Behind him is a wall of going, with 3 people embedded in the wall, 2 men and 1 woman, looking extremely desperate. Immediately, the time left for these stupid pirates will come to an end, so can they pay off their debts within the stipulated time to rescue their captains and partners. Tesoro looked like he was in a concert, and Vlad, who was in the crowd, couldn't bear to look directly. Let's count down together. Tesoro waved his hand and raised his head. 10. The audience in the stadium was immediately excited. Basically, there are no good people who can go to this place. It is human nature to watch the fun. 9. No one showed up. 8. There was silence. 7. The pirates on the wall of going looked desperate. 6. Nothing happened. Quote. 0. Tesoro's loud shouts ended the countdown. He turned around and laughed. It seems that your partner has given up on you. In this case, your debts will not be repaid. Tesoro walked to the side of several pirates, turned back and shouted at the audience. Everyone, please get ready, cheer up, the next step is the most exciting execution. Oh. Ha 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 ha, hurry up and kill them. Oh ha ha ha. Kill them. Kill them. Kill them. Such shouting has become a unified slogan. Vlad laughed mockingly. It's ugly. Baby 5 wondered. Sir, aren't you going to save them? What nonsense are you talking about? Vlad taught his maids. They're not my partners, and I have no reason to save them. This is number 1. Second, everyone has their own adventures, and they didn't ask for help, so as an outsider, I naturally didn't stand to save them. Baby 5 nodded vaguely. By the way, I'll tell you one last thing. Tesoro deliberately approached a few pirates. The microphone was far away from his mouth. He said with a wicked smile, do you know that the partner you've been waiting for has not come? Pirate Captain replied, don't tell me they've run away. Of course not, Tesoro laughed. Although they are a little weaker, they are unexpectedly loyal. They won't run away, and they are determined to save you, so I have to fulfill them. Bastard, the pirate captain shouted with a grim face, what did you do? Nothing, you'll see them soon. Tesoro took a few steps back and beckoned, everyone in the audience, going execution. He squeezed his right hand fiercely, and a large amount of going powder suddenly spewed out from the surrounding pillars, like a fountain. Tesoro waved his hand gently, and the going powder immediately condensed in the air, turning into hundreds of going spears. Goodbye, Tesoro laughed. Stupid pirates. He waved his hand gently, and hundreds of spears with the whistling sound of the wind instantly shattered that side of the going wall, and naturally the people above were not spared. Well, viewers, that's the end of today's sideshow. Tesoro Vivi bowed as the curtain call, then it's your own carnival time. Oh. Dash. Why don't we watch the execution? The maid asked in a puzzled way. Before the final trip, Vlad took her away from the execution scene, which made Baby 5 a little confused. You don't know that guy's abilities. Vlad said, it's not a good thing to keep watching. Besides, we're not here to play this time. I'm here for business. Isn't our business just looking for Emperor going? The maid still didn't understand her new master's opinion. Isn't it a good opportunity just now? Chance. Vlad shook his head. On the contrary, it wasn't a good opportunity just now. Vlad recalled the man he had seen with a glimpse before. Fortunately, he hid quickly, otherwise, it would probably have to fight again. Then what do we do now? What are you doing? Of course you're looking for Tesoro. Vlad responded, but unfortunately this city is too big, it's not easy to find that man, so. Our first one finds a guide. Guide? Baby 5 questioned. Yes, guide, Vlad pointed out. You see, that woman is very nice, very guide-like. The maid looked in the direction Vlad pointed, and the figure of a woman caught her eye. It was a very beautiful woman, wearing a black dress that set off her slender and plump figure drippingly and delicately. Her pale red hair was slightly curled, draped over her shoulders, and a warm smile on her delicate and beautiful face. Hey Baccarat, long time no see. Vlad rushed behind the woman and said softly. Chapter 19 Upcoming Meeting. Although Baccarat looks like a welcome lady, she has always been in charge of receiving those who will interest Tesoro, but, in fact, this beautiful woman is a big cadre on this ship, helping Emperor Going fool those people. The most powerful assistant of pirates. Really, Vlad sometimes really admires Tesoro's bad taste. There is nothing to do all day long, so he likes to insult those pirates who have just entered the new world. Baccarat is not a weak person. Although he was killed by Usopp in the theatrical version in a very nonsensical way, he can actually sit on the level of a world-renowned underground tycoon like Emperor Going, no matter how bad his strength is. Worse than the 4 cadres of the Don Quixote family on Drosrosa. She will be easily resolved largely due to the limitations of the theatrical version. After all, the length is only so long, and there are only so many stories that can be told. Naturally, more space should be put on the protagonist's confrontation with the big boss. These small roles don't need to be too much. Said so much, I just wanted to say that this woman named Baccarat is not weak, so when she heard the voice of a man behind her without warning, she was shocked. Baccarat instantly had the idea of jumping far away, and then looking back to see who this person was. This is a person's instinct to save himself, but she instantly suppressed this urge. After all, she has been hanging out in the New World for so many years. The old man, Baccarat, is not so bad. Had never seen anything in Going City, and Baccarat instantly regained her composure. After that, she finally realized that the voice was a little familiar. Oh, isn't that Mr. Vlad? Baccarat turned around to give Vlad a big hug. Vlad stretched out a hand to block Baccarat, who looked very enthusiastic, and said bluntly, "Forget it, your ability is really in danger. Don't come near me, Baccarat, I'm afraid. I'm afraid I won't be able to bear it anymore and kill you directly." Vlad is not kidding. This sea has secret treasures like devil fruit, Logia has the highest starting point, and zone fighting technique is strong. Only Paramesha is the one with the most freaks. Some fruits are unbelievably weak, and some are outrageously strong. For example, the childlike fruit, once touched, will turn a person into a doll and will directly erase everyone's memory about this person, such as the slow fruit, the ability to emit light that can delay the time of the recruit. Seriously, Vlad sometimes really envy these abilities. Super strong, okay. Unfortunately, the owners are some unsightly weak. Baccarat is also such a person. Compared with Vlad, her strength can only be described by the word weak, but her fruit ability is extremely unbelievable. The lucky person who transports the fruit ability can pass the. Do you dare to believe that the ability to touch and strip the other party's luck has such a metaphysical ability? Why, Vlad said to keep Baccarat away, just because her ability is really dangerous. Baccarat's expression froze, but then he returned to normal immediately, and said with a tender smile, "I hate it." Lord Vlad still likes to joke as always. "Really, I'm very humorous, right?" Vlad laughed along with him. It seemed that neither of them cared about the previous words, but in fact Baccarat had already paid attention to keeping his distance from Vlad. "Then, Lord Vlad," said Baccarat, "what is your purpose here?" "Oh, this," Vlad scratched his head and smiled, "I came to Tesoro, and I want to talk to him about some private matters." This. Baccarat hesitated. She had already heard about Vlad's betrayal of the Charlotte family. After all, she was the leader of the underworld in the New World. She was quite clear about this information. Baccarat didn't know whether Vlad, who had lost Charlotte Linlin's blessing, would still be valued by Tesoro, so she was hesitant now. "What?" Vlad whispered. "Baccarat, are you going to reject me?" Baccarat shuddered. Although the man in front of her was not well known in the Charlotte family, it was a world apart from the fame of the Dessert 4 Stars and Daifuku, Oven, Perospero and others, but she had seen this man before. The strength is definitely strong and terrifying, otherwise it would be impossible to leave the Charlotte family's marriage smoothly. "No, Lord Vlad," Baccarat shook his head and took out a phone bug. "I just wanted to ask if Lord Tesoro would be convenient to receive you now. As you know, Lord is very busy." "Then what are you waiting for?" Vlad laughed. "Dear Baccarat, hurry up and ask." "Yes." Baccarat smiled shyly, while calling Tesoro's phone, phone bug. "Baccarat," a low male voice came from over there. "It's me, Lord Tesoro. Is something wrong?" "Yes, there is someone who wants to see you," Baccarat said softly, looking at Vlad, who looked indifferent. "I don't know if I should bring him." "Want to see me?" The man was a little surprised. After all, it was Baccarat's job to welcome guests. Who is qualified to see him and who is not? That woman must know better than himself, but today he actually asked himself whether he should bring the man came, and Tesoro felt something was wrong. Who is it? Baccarat looked at Vlad and said in a low voice, It's Lord Vlad from Charlotte's house. Vlad. A surprised male voice. Hey, remember, Baccarat, my name is Ferdinando. This was Vlad, who was a little upset. Sorry, Baccarat apologized politely. I'll take care of it later, Lord Vlad. People are so polite, and Vlad can't say anything, just nodded and didn't care. Quote. There was silence over the phone bug. Lord Tesoro, Baccarat asked in a low voice. Bring him here. The phone hung up. Oh, so no, Tesoro has a good temper. Vlad grinned. Please come with me, Lord Vlad. Now that he has obtained Tesoro's permission, Baccarat will not feel uncomfortable anymore, and immediately stops a turtle car, and decides to take Vlad to find Tesoro. Baby 5 who saw this magical vehicle for the first time, Vlad seemed to be much calmer, but with a touch of emotion. Although he had seen it for a long time, Vlad still felt a little emotional when he saw this turtle car. Except that the power was a bunch of turtles, this car was not the slightest difference from the car in his original world, which made him feel a little bit. Think people. Chapter 20 Not pleasant. The speed of the turtle car is very fast. It should be said that it can be very fast. It is completely different from the slow speed of the previous tour. In order to get rid of Vlad as soon as possible, Baccarat slammed on the accelerator as soon as he got in the car. The tortoise car is like an arrow off the string, going madly at a speed that is enough to make people lose sight of the surrounding landscape. Vlad's little maid, Baby 5, felt very dissatisfied. After all, it was the first time she came to this place. She really wanted to take a look at what this legendary world's #1 entertainment city looked like. Vlad doesn't care about Baby 5's mood. After all, he has more important things to do now. It is an important step related to his future plan. There must be no mistakes, and the communication with Tesoro is bound to be. It won't be too pleasant, he's very self-aware of that. Tesoro to cooperate with him without tearing his face. After all, he is no longer the internal affairs officer of Charlotte's family, but a wandering social idler. With the urine of Emperor going, the chances of being able to take care of yourself are low. Okay, here we are. Baccarat stopped the car with a smile on her face, enough to make any man look at her now. Lord Vlad, it's here. The tortoise car parked in front of a tall building. It was a bright building with going color. It looked like it was really all made of going. Vlad got out of the car, led Baccarat into the building, and took the elevator that was said to lead to the top floor. Looking at the rapidly shrinking buildings outside the window, Vlad chuckled. Tesoro is so arrogant. Baccarat didn't follow suit. After all, Vlad was the person she couldn't offend now, and Tesoro was her boss. It was not good whether to agree or disagree, so she chose to remain silent. Have always lived in such a high place, Vlad said with deep meaning in his eyes. Do you really regard yourself as a god? So you must live in the heavens. This is to be on par with those so-called world nobles. Baccarat didn't speak, and for a while, the elevator was silent, only the sound of a few people breathing quickly or slowly. Just when Baccarat was about to suffocate in this atmosphere, the elevator finally stopped. Bang! The elevator door opened, and Vlad took the lead and got out of the elevator. Entering the eye is a long corridor. At the end of the corridor is an equally golden wall. A mysterious existence that looks very strange, like a big-headed monster, has been waiting there. Vlad knew who he was. The guard of Bulin Tesolo, the cadre of Emperor Going, the Paramesha-piercing fruit ability, the traverser who was able to pass through all inorganic substances, and the guy collectively called Mr. Tanaka was him. Mr. Vlad, Tanaka said respectfully as he walked to Vlad's side. Lord Tesoro has been waiting for you for a long time. Ah. Vlad put his hand on Tanaka's shoulder and said with a smile, Tesoro is getting more and more back. Is he so careful now? Ha. Tanaka laughed awkwardly and didn't answer. Yes, Tesoro's room has no door, and Tanaka is the man in charge of the door. Maid, Vlad turned back. Just wait for me here. Don't run around. I need your obedience very much. Yes. Baby 5 replied excitedly. No problem, Lord Vlad, there is a lounge here, where the maid can go to rest. Baccarat laughed. That's good, Vlad said. Come on, big head. Tanaka was very wise and didn't care about Vlad's name, and took Vlad directly to the wall. Just like air, the wall did not prevent the passage of the two people at all. I only felt that the eyes were dark, and then there was a light, and Vlad had entered a huge room. Although Vlad could break the wall directly and break into the room, it was someone else's territory anyway, and he still had something to ask for. Before he had absolute strength, he should refrain from offending people. Good. The room was a little dark, but Vlad could still see everything in the room. In front of the huge French window, the tall man stood with his hands behind his back, with his back to Vlad, as if he had no intention of looking back. Tanaka said softly, Lord Tesoro, Mr. Vlad has arrived. After that, Tanaka bowed towards Vlad Vivi and exited the room. Tesoro still ignored Vlad's intentions. Vlad was also polite. He sat down on the soft sofa in the room, picked up the fruit that was on the side, and ate it. It happened that he didn't have dinner, so it would be great to eat now. For a long time, there was only Vlad's gulping sound left in the room, and Tesoro still stood with his hands behind his back, looking down at the shapes of all beings. Vlad. Finally, Tesoro, who couldn't bear it, turned his head and looked down at Vlad with an indescribable sarcasm in his tone. How dare a bereaved dog like you dare to run to me? The bereaved dog. Vlad wiped his mouth and said with a smile, ooh ha 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 ha. What nonsense are you talking about? Tesoro. Stupid. Tesoro sat on the sofa opposite Vlad, his slender and powerful hands resting on the back of the sofa, his legs raised. This is a very aggressive posture. Not really. Who doesn't know in the new world now that you killed your fiancé and betrayed the Big Mom pirates? Is there still a place for you to hide in this new world? Tesoro chuckled, speaking to Vlad. The experience is very understandable. Ah ha ha ha. Vlad didn't take it seriously and smiled. That's not necessarily true. This new world is very big. It's too early for that crazy woman to cover the sky with one hand. Ha 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 ha. Tesoro laughed. Should I say you're stupid? Vlad, yes, the new world is very big, and there are not a few monsters that can offend the Big Mom pirates. But, why, Vlad, you tell me why they shelter you. Woo ha ha. Vlad raised a finger and shook it gently. No, you're wrong, absolutely wrong, Tesoro. Tesoro frowned. What's wrong? Do you have something to protect your secrets? No, not this, Vlad whispered. Not asylum. It's cooperation. Cooperation. Tesoro laughed. What are you kidding? Now that you are no longer the Charlotte family's internal affairs officer, without Wengguo's help, you have nothing left. How could anyone still be willing to cooperate with you? Yes. Vlad laughed. Who? You. For mobile phone users, please browse Reading for a better reading experience.